It seems a little bit strange that a team from the Midwest will have such an impact on the playoff race in the Eastern Division of the MASL, but that is the case, and it will begin here tonight as the Major Arena Soccer League presents the Florida Tropics as they host the St. Louis Ambush. Good evening, fans, and welcome inside the RP Funding Center here in Lakeland, Florida, Sykes Field. I'm Brian Ackley along with Evan Weston. He is the radio voice of the Orlando City Lions, just a little bit to our east of Lakeland here.
Got my purple on tonight for you, Brian.
Very good. We appreciate that. I thought that was a California thing, maybe. Had a little trouble getting back from California, so we missed you in our last broadcast, but glad to have you along tonight. The Ambush, on paper, not a team that you really have to think, well, gosh, we're going to worry about this one. They've only won once this year. They're 1-11. They only won once last year. Believe it or not, they were 1-19 for the whole season. But that one win did come against Florida in St. Louis. This year, 1-11. The two teams have met already once in St. Louis. That was New Year's Eve. And the Tropics came out of there with, I won't say an easy 8-5 win, but they generally controlled play and never were seriously threatened down the stretch in winning that game 8-5. But the truth of the matter is, the Ambush are better than their 1-11 record. They've got better players on their roster than they had last year. They have taken some good teams to overtime, losing by a goal this year to Baltimore, Cedar Rapids, Milwaukee. So the fact of the matter is, maybe once if that happens, Evan, it's kind of just a fluky thing. But they have played very well against some very good teams this year. So the Tropics cannot come in tonight and assume a victory.
No, they have a lot of good pieces too, Brian. Huerton Morera has 17 assists. It's kind of their midfield puppet stringer. You know, just kind of pulls all of the different elements together for them in the middle of the park. He'll go up and down the floor. Really a guy to watch out for. And they haven't had all of their goal scorers together. Everybody, you look down the list, he's missed 2 games here, 3 games here. Christopher Matthias, 8 goals this year in just 10 games. He's a guy to look out for, too, as someone that can really impact the game for the Ambush. Don't take the 1-11 record on its face. This is not a pushover team. They're better than they were last year, and they're coming in here for a dogfight.
Yeah, they are. And the reason we say that they're going to have such an impact on the playoff race and why it starts here tonight, of course, this is the start of the second half of the regular season for the Tropics. 22 games in the regular season. Game 11 was last week, that very disappointing overtime loss to Syracuse 10-9, and it looks like Syracuse and Florida will battle for that second playoff spot in the East. And believe it or not, Syracuse will play Syracuse 4 times in the second half of the regular season. So they have a trip to Syracuse where they play 2 games in 1 weekend in February, and then really a very unusual road trip coming up for Syracuse, a 3 games and 3 night scenario where they play Friday night in St. Louis, go to Milwaukee for a game Saturday, come back to St. Louis for a game Sunday afternoon. So certainly you'd have to think maybe the Ambush could win at least one of those.
I do not envy whoever had to book those flights. That's
a difficult road trip to be sure. And who knows, maybe they could steal one in Syracuse. But the fact is, the Ambush of all teams will have a very heavy hand in who ends up representing the East in the MASL playoffs. You talked about the St. Louis goal scorers. Well, some really devastating news for the Tropics tonight, and one of the reasons this game suddenly takes on a greater urgency and looks a lot more difficult on paper than it might is basically 3 of the 4 or 5 leading offensive players for Florida will not play tonight. Ricardo Diegues is out. He is the team leader in points and goals with 12 goals and 12 assists for 24 points. He will not dress tonight. Mauricio Salas, who is tied for the team lead in goals with 12, he will not dress tonight. And Lucas Coutinho, who really turned some heads last week with his 2 goals in the first quarter, certainly one of the rookies making a very big impact in the MASL this year. He has 7 goals on the season. He, too, out with an injury. So a lot of offense will be missing tonight for the Tropics. And, Evan, that makes their job that much tougher.
Yeah, I mean, those are 3 huge guys. And how big an impact has Salas made this year? Coming in, just, they have a lot of really talented midfield-type players, but just a pure, big, mean, goal-scoring forward. He is such a difference maker, and we got to see who's going to step up and play that role, because you look up and down the roster, a lot of talented guys who are really good with the ball at their feet, good with the ball in space, but do they have that killer instinct in front of goal to really make something happen? So who do you have to step up? Obviously, Freddie Mugin is going to be asked a lot tonight. Had a great game against Syracuse in that really disappointing loss for Florida last Saturday night. He was the third star of the game. Salas was the second star, we should note. And then you look down the roster, and it might have to come from the back a little bit. Ricardinho, the new signing, technically a defender, but he can really make things happen going forward. You think about Guilherme, can he get involved in the offense? A guy like Lucas Teixeira, who had that big game winner against Baltimore a couple months ago. He can get involved a little bit, and then in the more higher up ranks, Raphael Schumpler. I'm interested to see if he can step it up and provide a little bit more offensive spark as well.
Those are two guys that I think have been kind of quiet offensively over the last few games. Schlempler for sure. Victor Pereira from the midfield spot. He can be a goal scorer.
Another good one, yeah.
He looks very often to be a playmaker, but he can fill the goal up as well. He had 14 last year to be second on the team in goals last season. So, certainly some candidates. And the Tropics will put some speed in the lineup tonight with Joanne Laidley and Maicon Franca, two real speedsters that can get up and down the floor and create opportunities. And that's kind of one of the things that the Tropics have had trouble with. They've gone to the sixth attacker in a couple of these losses very early in the fourth quarter and had tremendous success. They had, I think it was 3 sixth attacker goals against Baltimore. They had 3 more last Saturday against Syracuse. And what it tells me, Evan, is when they get the space to create, they can put the ball in the back of the net. So when they're 5v5, they're going to have to work a little bit harder to create those space, get the better angles, and create opportunities for themselves. And when the speed of a Joanne Laidley or a Maicon Franca, maybe that will help.
No, their counterattacking might be big too tonight. You want to see them press. The press worked so well against Harrisburg a few weeks ago. That is something that they can do. Can't be too aggressive, but a little bit of strong pressure, create some counterattacking opportunities for those speedsters if you can't quite have the presence of a Salas or a Diegues in front of goal.
So we'll see how it all plays out here tonight in Lakeland as the Tropics and St. Louis Ambush get ready for their second and final meeting of the 2017-18 regular season here in the MASL. Our thanks to our friends at Ybor Eats for sponsoring our pregame show here on Soccer Night in Florida. It's where the locals eat. They're at 17th and 5th at Ybor City. It's a great place for breakfast or lunch. Stop in for their breakfast brown bag special. It's a sandwich and coffee to go. Or if you just want to relax on their patio, might not be a great week next week to do that because it's not supposed to get out of the 60s.
Bundle
here,
up, yeah.
in Florida. But most days it's a great place to relax. Grab a sandwich, grab a cheesesteak. Ybor Eats, it's where the local eats over in Tampa. If you're ever in Ybor City, please stop in and see them at 17th and 5th. Our kickoff is just around the corner in just a couple of minutes on Soccer Night Florida on MASL TV.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Estelle. I just wanted to say hi and hope you enjoyed tonight's game. When you're done here, go over to my YouTube channel to get to know me a little bit better. And yeah, enjoy the game. Go Tropics.
When it comes to Medicare Advantage plans, here's some great news from CarePlus. With the Carefree plan, you may be able to get a $94 reduction on your Medicare Part B premium every month. That's up to $1,128 a year back in your Social Security check. Plus, no more than $3,400 in out-of-pocket expenses and $0 copays on Tier 1 and 2 prescription drugs. The annual enrollment period is here and ends December 7th, so call today. There's always a plus in CarePlus.
Welcome back to the RP Funding Center here in Lakeland, Florida. Sykes Field as the St. Louis Ambush are introduced before tonight's match, the 12th game of the season for the Florida Tropics, who come in with a record of 6-5, effectively tied for second place in the Eastern Division with the Syracuse Silver Knights. Syracuse has actually played a couple of less games. They are 5-4 and have a big one tonight. They are in Baltimore. We'll talk a lot about that game during our broadcast tonight. The Blast suffering a major loss as well to injury last weekend. So we'll keep an eye on how things unfold in Baltimore. Early on, it's the Blast leading the Heat 1-0. And we'll talk in part 2 about who Tropics fans might really want to root for in that game as we head down towards the playoff push here in January and, of course, in February. If you're just tuning in, missed the Ybor Eats pregame show, want to recap some of the news of the Tropics, and it's not good, any of it, really. 3 of their leading offensive players are out of tonight's game. Ricardo Diegues is out. Mauricio Salas is out. And Lucas Coutinho is also out, all with injuries. A neck injury for Diegues, leg injuries for Salas and for Coutinho, and we don't really know how long they'll be out. Let's head down to the field and meet the Tropic starters.
Midfielder number 8, Marco Rodriguez. Forward number 11, Ricardo Diegues. Forward number 12, Maicon Franca. Midfielder number 15, Ty Hall. Forward number 17,
I guess he's dressed.
Yeah, I guess so. That was the surprise to all of us here in the press box. We talked to Coach Clay Roberts before the game, and he said Diegues was out.
We're clear.
Defender number 23, J.P. Reyes. Defender number 99, Ricardinho. And now, entering the field in a 2018 Regal Kia Sedona, your starting lineup. Starting for the Tropics tonight, goalkeeper number 1, Peter Sliwa. Defender number 5, Lucas Teixeira. Defender number 90, Lucas Montelares. Midfielder number 22, Anthony Arico. Midfielder number 7, Victor Pavena. And forward and assistant coach, number 10, Freddie Mujic. And the head coach of the Florida Tropics, Clay Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, your Florida Tropics.
So, in fact, Ricardo Diegues will play it tonight. We were told about 15 minutes before kickoff that he was a no-go with a neck injury, but he is in the lineup, came out introduced with the Tropics players, so that is a bit of good news for the Tropics on an otherwise not-so-good news night.
Fabulous boost for Ricardo and for the Tropics.
Standing as one nation and one people for the performance
We'll
of our
step aside for our national anthem.
James Mancuso.
broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So the Tropics and Ambush getting ready to renew a rivalry that began last year.
Direct your attention to the field.
Perhaps a bit of a bigger rivalry than some of the other teams. We'll tell you why in just a minute, but let's head down to hear from Anthony Arico.
Another big one tonight. We've got a couple of key players out, Mauricio Salas and Coutinho. Obviously, St. Louis is a very talented team. The record doesn't show it, but they're also a very tough team, lost a lot of close games. What are the keys to victory tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. St. Louis is coming in with something to prove. We went up there and put a good team performance in, and we got a good key victory for us moving forward. Yeah, we're out with a couple of key players, but the awesome thing about this team is we're a deep team. Anyone can step up and be a leader, put points on the board. So that's exciting for us because we know the next man's up, ready to go. Keys to the game: playing the full 4 quarters, playing Tropics soccer, sticking to our game plan, and not letting anything get in the way of that.
Great, that's my thoughts exactly. Good luck tonight, Andy.
Thank you to players signing Rick Rodinho and your Listen Economides. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the center of the field for the ceremonial kick performed by 2015 Teacher of the Year, Christy Massis.
Tropics still very much a work in progress in terms of the roster, with Ricardinho just coming aboard last week. Gibson lays it off. There's a shot and another block in there by Reyes.
And a nice block there for JP. That wasn't as bad a shot for Hernandez as you'd think.
Knocked into the box and knocked out of there by Guilherme, and he'll let Sliwa play it ahead to Victor Pereira. Gets it up to Tyrone Hall. Hall trying to push forward. Finally will slow things down, and the Tropics will take advantage of that and make a line change.
Slick bit of possession work there by the Tropics. Love playing off the boards. We haven't seen nearly enough of that from this team this year. And really, Hall, well done to keep his composure. That's an easy opportunity for St. Louis to grab that back and get on the counter, and he did not let it happen.
JP Reyes with it. He'll go cross Florida. Teixeira being watched by Gibson.
Now this is what you want to avoid if you're Florida. These long spells where it's just a lot of back passes, a lot of side to side, and see, that's what can happen to you.
Yeah, bad giveaway, but a good recovery by Teixeira. Monaleras comes back to help, and Pereiras decides to clear the zone. Mujin is out there to control it. Plays it off the boards to Monaleras. Intercepted there by Hernandez.
Weird moment there where they made a substitution when the guy coming out was the one closest to the ball.
And you got to be careful not to get too many men on the field call.
That happened to them last week.
That's exactly right. Teixeira with it.
So many little things in that game that just kind of added up.
Feeds it over to Marco Rodriguez. Now, Rodriguez is a guy that you don't normally think of as a scorer, and I'll have to double check, but I believe it was the game here against St. Louis last year that Rodriguez had the hat trick. So, as we talked about in the pregame and early on, you never know who will step up here for Florida, but they will need one or two players at least to do it in the absence of Salas and Coutinho. Mujin with some pressure on Nascimento. Lays it off to Acosta. Gets it out to the midfield circle where Stefan St. Louis has it. Intercepted at the midfield circle. Long ball by Arico, but Nascimento has little trouble with that one.
That'll count as the first save of the game. Nice little stat pattern for Nascimento, if nothing else.
Nascimento was not all that far off his line, so it was not a real difficult save. Here's a chance now for Adamson again. Adamson into the zone. Here's a shot, doesn't ever get through, and knocked out of there by Teixeira, but it goes over the board, so a dangerous restart here for St. Louis from the top of the arc.
That was a good recovery by Florida, though. Adamson was nearly one-on-one with Sliwa. Never a situation you want in any kind of soccer, especially in the indoor game. You take this over one-on-one with the keeper any day.
Here's the restart. There's a shot, and that's blocked in front. Pereira's got a piece of it.
And well defended by Florida. Kept their composure, kept the wall. Nicely done.
Play back into the St. Louis zone now with Nascimento. He's got De Silva there back with him. Instead feeds it up to the midfield to Matthias, and we have a whistle and a foul. Long ball into the Florida zone. JP Reyes on the defense, and he'll come out of there with it. Reyes pushes through the midfield. Nice ball right side to Tyrone Hall. Ty Hall down shot, and he hits the post inside of the far woodwork. Great crack by Tyrone Hall, looking for his second and his first conventional goal of the year. You may recall it was Hall who scored from about 140 feet in that win in St. Louis. He deflected an ambush pass, and Casey Clark, who played in that game, was off of the line, and the ball sailed over his head and into the open net from about 140 feet. Here's a takedown in front, no whistle.
Well, what a strike that was by Hall, huh? I mean, that's just such a tough angle to score from. I'm really not sure he could have done any better than that, but he made the right decision. There was nobody there in support. He had to take the shot. I love the aggression, and it very nearly, and I mean very nearly, paid off for him.
Here's Arico with the St. Louis red line, one-on-one. Shot, good save, Nascimento. Again, knocked in front, and Nascimento will cover. Good idea by Arico there. Tried to pick the short side, and Nascimento equal to the task.
Yeah, not a super difficult save there for the St. Louis keeper, but well composed, especially off that rebound by Arico. Seen a lot of good goalkeeping from both Sliwa and the road goalkeepers that come into this building this year.
Almeida feeds it down to Gibson. And Mugin back to try and take care of it. Gibson keeps it alive. Gibson with a shot off the glass wide. Coming in is Schmerman to collect the rebound. It's knocked back out to the midfield circle to Hernandez. His long shot never got through.
Kind of a weird moment there for Sliwa. He made sort of a circle around the arc, and a rare moment of indecision for Peter. He typically is very decisive in terms of when he's going to come off and go get the ball. I think he should have stayed back there. He never really had a chance to get that ball, and he was fortunate that Gerger was never able to haul it down to himself.
Monolaris whistled for the hold against St. Louis. So the ambush will get a restart here.
How is it that St. Louis's captain is named Saint Louis and he doesn't pronounce it St. Louis?
I know, right? Well, Tampa Bay Lightning fans may have something to say about it. There's a shot, good leg save by Sliwa, and on the rebound, Adamson off his own shot puts it up over the glass into the crowd.
Yeah, tough start for Adamson tonight. Definitely should have finished earlier in the game, and then another pretty good chance there that did not go through for him.
Yeah, a couple of good chances for St. Louis and Adamson early, but we are still scoreless with 6:12 to go in the first half. Our starting lineup tonight was brought to you by Regal Auto, Polk County's best prices, selection, and service. Check us out on regallakeland.com today, or stop by our Chevy or Kia stores on Highway 98, or Honda, Acura, and GMC stores on Lakeland Hills Boulevard. Polk County's best prices, selection, and service. That's Regal Auto. Also, thanks to Brooks Law Group tonight. Had a car accident or had a personal injury? Then look to Brooks, our official injury attorneys. Go to brookslawgroup.com or call 1-800-LAW-3030 for more information. Last we knew, up in Baltimore, the Blast had an early 1-0 lead on the Syracuse Silver Knights, and I'll ask you the question, Evan Weston. If you're a Tropics fan, are you rooting for Baltimore in that game, or are you rooting for Syracuse in that game?
I don't think you're ever in a position where you want to root for Baltimore if you're a Tropics fan, but I think you kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
You know, it just you look at the two teams strength-wise, and I know Tropics fans dream of catching the Blast and winning the division, and it will happen someday, I'm sure. But it takes time to build the stability and the base to compete with a franchise like that on a season-long level. I think the playoffs are the goal for this season, and I think Syracuse is the team that is the most directly in the way of that goal.
Yep, I think you're 100% correct, and let me correct myself. That game is actually in Syracuse at the On-Center War Memorial, so my apologies to the folks in upstate New York who are enjoying that action, I'm sure, tonight.
Spent many a day in that building checking out the Syracuse Crunch.
Yep, that is one of the venerable old arenas in the league.
In the country.
In the country, yeah, no doubt. Sliwa with it to Guillerme. Nice little back heel to Teixeira, and he's got lots of space to operate. Teixeira over the red line, the long shot in front, and that never got through. He had both Schlemper and Mugin in front, but the ball never got through. That is as much space as you'll see a player ever have in this game.
Dylan Hundelt did a good job there to both stay on his man and stay in a good position to go get that ball.
Freddie with his back to the goal, left it for Pereira. His shot is wide. And then Guillerme, or rather Ricardino, tried to get it down to Mugin in the corner, but never quite connected, and the Tropics will change on the fly.
That's something that'll come with chemistry and come with time. Ricardino is still betting into the side. He's waiting for, he's got to figure out what his teammates like. Oh, boy.
Giveaway, and there's a shot and a good play by Sliwa as Hernandez had a great opportunity on another bad Tropics giveaway. Here's Pereira. Pereira gets by his man. Gets it over to Guillerme. Guillerme being pressured at the red line. Guillerme, long shot, and that goes wide.
See, I don't love that choice. You had Tyrone Hall streaking down towards the left corner. Nobody around him. See if you can get the ball to Ty, who's shown that aggressive streak tonight, and make a play. At some point, offensively, the Tropics are going to have to try and go forward rather than side to side and wait for St. Louis to make a mistake. You need to create your own chances.
And if I didn't update the score in Syracuse, the Blast still leading, but it's now 2-1 in the second quarter. 6 games tonight in the MASL. Very busy night around the league. A lot of games out in the Midwest and West. Here's Gibson. Lays it off. Shot. Another block at the defense, that time by Monolaris. as Schmerman could not get it through. Guilherme can't control, and the ambush will take possession at midfield. Almeida with it. Gives it to Gibson. Plays it back out to Adamson. 4 minutes to go first quarter. We are still scoreless. And with the Salas out and Coutinho out, this kind of figures to maybe be a little bit more of a tactical game than a wide open game from the Tropics' point of view. They certainly want to play with some pace, but they aren't going to go breakneck about it. Here's Pereiras. Pereiras tried to play it off the boards and instead it hit Mugin, and St. Louis will come out of there with it.
Really like what Arico's doing. And just look at the fire he's playing with tonight, but he's reining it in. You know, sometimes he's had a propensity to be a little bit too brash, too aggressive. I really like his controlled fire tonight.
Of course, Arico, a guy who played with the ambush for a couple of seasons, so it's a little bit personal for him as well. Freddie Mugin spent a season in St. Louis, and Peter Sliwa a season in St. Louis. They were kind of the three players that the Tropics built around last year. Here's Diegues, and a good defensive recovery by De Silva as he broke up that scoring opportunity.
That's a great tackle by De Silva. You know, end to end, he very well might be their best player. Just a guy who can score goals from a defensive position. He's a great passer. That's the kind of player that you just dream on. You know, box-to-box guy in this game who can play at every end and do everything for you.
Schlemper will play it back out to Reyes now. JP on the right side to Schlemper. Schlemper one-on-one. There's a shot, and that goes high and over the glass into the crowd.
Yeah, they're not a bad defensive team. They really aren't. They just, I think St. Louis is just a couple of goal scorers away and a little bit of luck. And like you said earlier, I thought was a good point, breaking that losing culture, that, oh, here we go again mentality that is so easy to get caught in. But you can get past that. You add a couple of goal scorers to this team. There's something here.
Well, both these teams coming off really, really, really difficult losses. Here's a chance for the ambush, but Everton couldn't get it in front. There's a long ball into Sliwa, and Peter able to cover it up. St. Louis hosted Kansas City last weekend, and the ambush had a 6-0 lead, only to give it all back and then some and lose 11-9. Here's again a takeaway shot, and that one just whistles past the far post off the foot of Nestor Hernandez.
Hernandez and Adamson tonight have had a couple of clear-cut chances that they have bottled a little bit.
Here comes Pereiras back, shot, goal! Was deflected in front, but I don't think it was Mugin that got it. I think it was actually
the keeper. I think it was Nascimento.
Okay, it was.
We'll see it on the replay.
Changed direction, yeah. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, here we go.
Good work by Pereiras to create the opportunity and take the shot. And the Tropics have the 1-0 lead with 1:56 to play here in the first quarter. So it is indeed Pereiras that steps up and gets Florida on the score sheet.
Yeah, I think we're oh, here comes the opportunity for the Tropics. And Pereiras, yeah, just going after De Silva. Well, hang on, this is, I think, a play from earlier in the game. And we'll try to find that for you.
Adamson, top of the box. Good to play by Hall to get in there and stop that scoring chance. Now Guilherme comes out of there. Nice play by Guilherme. Tried to get it to Hall. Loose in the box. Sliwa punches it out. Here's Adamson. Down low to Everton. To Gibson in the box. And coming back is, again, Guilherme with a good defensive play. Intercept now by Schlemper. And unfortunately couldn't control it. Actually stepped on the ball and missed a chance to start a good counterattack.
It's a good way to roll an ankle, too.
Yeah, right?
Always scary.
Here's Diegues, who has it. Diegues at the midfield line. Nice through ball to Schlemper, and Nascimento read it well.
Just a little more pace on that.
Yeah.
And he might have had it through. Oh, what a great idea by Ricardo.
Yeah, just a touch more pace, and give Nascimento credit. He read it beautifully and came out and cleared it just a step before the play unfolded. But Dieguez looks like he's moving well out there, so that's good news. And as we said, it wasn't a leg situation, it was a neck injury, so if anything, that's good news too. You don't ever like to have a neck situation, but it's not a knee or a quad or a hamstring. He missed a month of the season last year with a quad injury. Final 17 seconds of the quarter.
See some
Pressure out at the midfield circle. Dieguez takes it away. Here's Pereiras with a chance. Pereiras, he tried to get it. Dieguez couldn't do it. And it's cleared, and it will go out of play, and a deflection. It'll be a goal kick for Nascimento. Yeah, I thought it might have. Well, actually, they're going to say corner kick.
Yeah, it is a corner kick. They got it.
I thought the same thing. I thought they were pointing to Nascimento, but it is a corner kick.
Yeah, they got it right.
Yep, they did. And the Tropics have 5 seconds with which to do something here. They could make a pass or two before having to take a shot. They've got Marco Rodriguez out there. Here's a shot down low, and it's blocked. And that will end the first quarter. So the Tropics get the only goal of the opening 15 minutes. It belongs to Victor Pereiras. And the score here in Lakeland after one quarter, the Florida Tropics 1 and the St. Louis Ambush nothing. This is Soccer Night Florida on MASL.TV.
What a great name for a defender. Oh, wow. That's a big injury.
Tropics merchandise is located in the concourse level behind section 232. You'll find jerseys, t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, and more. Don't wait to get your Tropics swag today. Also, fans, as a reminder, be sure to stick around for the post-game autograph session tonight on the field immediately following tonight's game. Everyone is asked to enter through the goal directly underneath section 232. The autograph session will begin approximately 5 minutes after the game. You can also get your prorated season tickets for the remainder of the season and enter to win free prizes by visiting the Tropics sales table across the merchandise stand in section 232. Let's get this second quarter started.
Ready to go here in Lakeland. Our thanks to EA Smiles for their sponsorship of our always popular EA Smiles cam. And the Tropics fans with a little bit of a reason to smile with a 1-goal lead after 15 minutes. Here's Zarico looking for a chance early, but Nascimento comes out of there and covers up. Justin Stinson recently signed to the Ambush roster. Local player sends it in front. Good play by Sliwa. He was looking for Nestor Hernandez, who was lurking in the box, but Sliwa was able to get there in time.
That's the confidence we expect out of Peter. Not a ton for him to do in the first quarter, but a shaky moment or two. Good to see him make a strong play in the first few seconds of the second.
JP Reyes with some pressure on Stefan St. Louis. He'll come back into the St. Louis end now. Reyes will move up on the intercept in front of Everton. Player coach for the St. Louis Ambush came over in the offseason from the Cedar Rapids Rampage, their leading scorer with 4 goals and 17 assists this year. Good play out there by Arico, and then he's delayed a little by Pepe, and St. Louis will control. Everton with it again. Double teamed and falls to the turf, and they will call the foul.
Foul called on the Tropics, number 5, Lucas Teixeira.
Fouls have been very slanted to the ambush so far. I think it's 5-1 at this point.
Yeah, they've had a number of whistles go their way. There's the shot on the restart by De Silva, and that misses badly.
Well, that certainly wasn't the plan. What Pablo De Silva, had compacted there.
Yeah, not at all. They've gone to the half, and Syracuse still 2-1 Baltimore. We mentioned they had a very tough week as well. They lost one of their really good players. Lucas Roque is out for the season, tore an ACL. So that they have a lot of depth, but one of their better players gone for the year in Baltimore and Roque. Here's St. Louis into the Florida zone, knocked out of the box, and Monaleris will clear it. Picked up by Acosta near the red line. Across the floor to Schmerman, who let the long shot go, and that caught, I think it was Monaleris on the knee, funny, and he's hobbled a little bit. Going to stay on the floor here. Villegas trying to track down a loose ball. First time we've seen Maicon Franca out, number 12, out there with Guilherme. Nice little move outside the red line. Guilherme with his shot, couldn't get it through as Franca was looking to make a run.
I like the idea of pairing Franca with the Brazilians, Ricardinho and Guilherme. Get a little speed out there with their experience and their discipline. It's a nice combo.
That one will go over the sideboard, so Florida will get a kick in. Ricardinho will do the honors, gets it quickly ahead to Schlemper. Back to Reyes and over to Ricardinho, who had 2 assists in his debut. Of course, a fabulous career in the Major Arena Soccer League, the last 5 seasons with the Dallas Sidekicks. His best season was his last season in Dallas, 27 points, 10 goals, 17 assists. So the Tropics are very happy to bring him aboard. He and Coach Clay Roberts actually were teammates back in the day in Philadelphia for the Kicks. Teixeira tried to feed it over to Schlemper, but couldn't get it through. Ricardinho will intercept at the midfield line. Brings it into the St. Louis end. He's got Mugen down low, gives it to Freddie. Mugen leaves it for Teixeira, shot, and that goes out of play. It'll be a corner kick for the Tropics.
Touched San Luis on the way out, and if it didn't, I think that was headed straight towards the top shelf. That was a powerful boot by Teixeira, who we know can whack it. And I really liked what Ricardinho did at the start there. Just kind of, waiting, letting everybody set up, then get it to your playmaker, Mugen, down on the boards. That's some nice creativity by Ricardinho.
There's his shot in there by Freddie, and it's blocked. And Nascimento will pick it up for St. Louis. One 0 Tropics, 11.5 to go in the first half here. Here's Acosta running it down. Shot punched out of there by Sliwa. Good save.
Really nicely done off the right fist of Peter Sliwa. Read it the whole way. And a strong strike by Robert Acosta as well.
Ferreras will pick it up and get it across floor to J.P. Reyes. Some interference there by Matthias, and the whistle and the foul.
Yeah, that's an easy call for the official. Matthias got to be careful over there along the boards that he doesn't pick up any extracurricular punishment for that.
Ferreras along the near boards. Drives it in looking for a Rico. Schmerman instead intercepts. Gets it out to Everton. Nice little ball.
Oh, gorgeous.
Chance for the ambush shot. Sliwa with the save as Matthias broke in on the left wing.
That's great physical defending back there to make sure that Matthias couldn't fully enter his run and make a play there. It gave Peter Sliwa enough time to recover.
Tropics on the counter here. Arico, and he overruns it. Ambush on the counter. Matthias, he's been out there a bit, may need to head to the bench.
You see why, though, on that last play, why Everton has the 17 assists, because that little back heel flick, that's an advanced move.
Yeah.
That's not something that everybody in the league can do. And the way, when you can spring a guy with, 25 yards in front of him down the sideline like that, that's just a phenomenal talent. And you understand why he's the driver of so much of their offense.
Yeah, great little play, no question about it. There's a shot by the newcomer Stinson, and Sliwa makes the save. Hernandez on the rebound, blocked in front by Guilherme, and the zone is cleared, but St. Louis will. No, good play by Diegues to retain possession. Good work by Ricardo there. Gets it ahead to Arico, and he'll play it back now to Monolaris. Over to Guilherme, who has been really stout on defense since arriving in December for the Tropics. Pereiras. Back to Ricardinho. On the right side now to Reyes. Tropics want to switch up front. Maicon Franca back out for his second shift. Maicon's got 3 goals this year. There's a shot on, that one just misses. Good little give and go in front with Diegues. Now Diegues again in the corner. Diegues looks for help, gives it back to Guilherme. Guilherme pulls the trigger, misses short side, and Nascimento will clear the zone to Adamson, who gets it out to midfield. Stinson trying to track it down, but played back to Sliwa. Ricardinho will bring it up slowly on the left wing to Mugin. He had Diegues briefly making a run. Actually, it's Schlemper. Schlemper to, there's a shot, good save, Nascimento.
That was really clever by the veteran Ricardinho. Little grass cutter down towards the near post, and Nascimento, really nicely done to read that, not get fooled by the misdirection in front of him.
Here's Mugin trying to get in, and Nascimento clears it away. Yeah, Paulo had to kind of do a double take to make sure he had it.
We're good goalkeeping tonight
strong.
from both sides. Lewis had a great quarter, and Nascimento really doing well to keep St. Louis in this. I get the sense that he's done that quite a bit this year.
He's faced a lot.
Has pretty good numbers, too.
Not bad for...
saving nearly 700. I mean, that's for the barrage that he tends to face.
Exactly right. He faces it night in and night out, no question. Mugin to Arico. Arico, Tropics trying to get some numbers here. Is a whistle and a foul. I think they'll call that one against De Silva. For a second, looked like the Tropics might get some numbers there, but never quite developed, and so they blew it dead. Still 1-0. The goal by Pereiras, the only marker so far here tonight. But we kind of expected perhaps a little bit more of a tactical game, and has worked out that way so far. Here's Tyrone Hall, who hit the goal post on a great scoring opportunity in the first corner with it along the near boards. He'll play it back out to midfield. Rodriguez has it. Now Ricardinho down low to Tyrone Hall, and Hall has trouble and loses it, and the ambush will clear the zone here. Both teams want new personnel on the floor. Pereiras comes up to get it. Pereiras with it. Pereiras down the left boards, still with possession, gets it back out to Ricardinho. Leaves it to Rodriguez. The shot knocked out of there by Nascimento. Good idea.
Well placed by Rodriguez. And not an extremely difficult save for Nascimento, but he had to work for it, and that's what you want to do. Put pressure on the defense.
Yeah, and he's got a good shot. We talked about the fact that he had the hat trick in that game last year, so not a bad idea that Marco decided to tee it up from about 50 feet or so. Join the winning team at Sykes. Sykes is one of the world's leading customer service and digital solutions companies, and we're looking for people just like you to join our Lakeland team. Go to sykes.com/jobs to get the ball rolling. Our thanks also to Lanier Upshaw. Lanier Upshaw has a passion for embracing the upside of risk to elevating results. Celebrating 75 years in the community of elevating results, Lanier Upshaw is your go-to for business or personal insurance needs. For more information, visit www.lanierupshaw.com. Lanier Upshaw, the upside of risk. One of the things the Tropics doing a better job of tonight is not making so many risky plays out in the midfield circle. That cost them several times in that loss last week to Syracuse. And that consistency factor, Evan, both game to game and within games, has been something a little bit elusive for the Tropics this year, and kind of one of the big reasons they sit just at 6-5 right now at the halfway point.
Yeah, they'll go stretches where they look brilliant, particularly when they have that sixth attacker out there. And they'll have stretches where, you know, for 10, 15 minutes at a time, whole quarters, there's not much there. What I'll say for them tonight is they're not playing that high-pressure, open game, but they've been solid. They've been very solid all season, or all night, I should say. Just not making mistakes, playing a composed, organized game, defending their home floor. Now, the next step, they got to create some distance here. They got to get a couple more goals and really put some range between themselves and the ambush before halftime.
Restart for Florida just outside the St. Louis red line. Pereiras will pull the trigger, and Nascimento will cover up. Kind of just hugged the dasher boards there and never actually carry them back out in front, which is, I think, what Pereiras was aiming for. Guilherme will make the intercept here at the midfield line into the St. Louis zone. Shot and a save by Nascimento. He had Mugin lurking in the box. St. Louis with a counterattack here. Adamson, or rather Schmerman with it. Down low to Hernandez in front, and still loose in there, and Ricardinho will come in and make a nice veteran play to get it out of harm's way.
Yeah, boy, just barely. Reyes got just enough of it to keep Everton from getting a shot off. Well done by JP. And
that's about the third or fourth block he's already had here in this game tonight.
Yeah. The whole defense for Florida has been great.
Everton deep in the right corner, triple teamed in there. Keeps it alive to Matthias and now to Schmerman.
Yeah, Everton has not been able to work his magic too much tonight. We had that one back heel that really should have been scored by St. Louis. Other than that, he's been pretty limited. They've marked him very tightly.
He's got it now with JP Reyes.
And look, there's the help.
Yeah.
And it's not just any help. You know, you got Mugin coming down. They have clearly made it a plan not to let him beat them tonight.
Well, you saw it with that triple team in the corner there. And you're right, at least the double team. Here's a chance in front, cleared out of there by Guilherme.
I'm just very impressed with defense overall. Team defense tonight. Everybody's marking. Everybody's in the right place. Just very well coached.
Chance now for Gibson deep in the corner. Looks for help. Again, watched by Arico this time. Challenged by Pereiras.
5 minutes in the half. Let's hear it, Tropics fans.
But St. Louis will control.
That's got to be scary if you're Matthias, with Pereiras just ready to break away on that counter at any moment.
Pereiras tries to get it up to Freddie on the header, but intercepted in there by Dylan Hundell. Nascimento comes way off his line as Pereiras moved in.
Had no choice.
Yeah, that was dangerous.
Not nearly enough on that back pass by Hundell. Kind of thing that's killed St. Louis over the last couple of years.
Second time we've seen Nascimento come well off his line to make a very good defensive play.
That's sloppy. Yeah, it's just St. Louis taking their eye off the ball. The thing has happened to the Tropics a lot, where you get into that rut where you're just not getting any space. It feels like you're shooting at a brick wall, and you give it away poorly, and suddenly you're back on your heels.
Tropics would like to get at least one more here, perhaps before the half. We'll see.
Ooh.
There's a giveaway, though. Chance for St. Louis. And Franca comes back, and he will draw the 2-minute penalty.
Wow.
So Franca with a giveaway, and St. Louis will go on the power play here with 4:15 to go.
I understand Franca wanting to make up for his mistake, but I'm not sure he had to challenge that harshly to go get that back. He had some help. That was not cleanly put forward by Matthias to where he was one-on-one. He had some help, and now this Florida penalty kill will be tested, see if they can keep the lead.
So Matthias, who had 2 goals in that loss in St. Louis against Florida on New Year's Eve, was the man taken down. He'll stay out there on the power play, of course. De Silva will tee it up, and we've got a whistle and a foul against St. Louis.
Well, that'll help.
Yeah, kill a few seconds anyway. Long ball down to Arico. Tropics, though, can't maintain possession as Reyes knocks it over the boards.
Tropics fans, if you're a student and you were given a pink slip, please head over to section 211.
Tropics on the power play here. Rather, the ambush on the power play. Tropics send out Reyes, Guillerme, Arico. And here's a potential 2-on-1 for the Tropics. Nice ball over to Arico. Arico moves in, shot, goal! That's how you do it on the shorthanded situation. Little give and go with Teixeira. And Anthony Arico buries it to give Florida a 2-0 lead.
And a much-deserved goal for Arico. What a game he has had so far. And I love that. He had a bit of a heavy first touch here as he went after that pass. He's got to one-time it, and he puts just a perfect shot on. Past Nascimento, far post. That is fantastic stuff by Arico. Teixeira with good link-up play as well, and a deserved assist. And St. Louis, again, just scratching their heads.
First shorthanded goal of the year for the Tropics. They had 2 last year. They came in the same game against Kansas City.
The nice thing about giving up a shorthanded goal is you got a chance to get it back right away.
That's true. There's De Silva on the right side to Almeida. Back to De Silva with a shot. Sliwa with a save, and with Gibson hovering in front, Peter able to track it down. Long ball out to Arico. Tried to get by Almeida, couldn't do it. The Tropics, by the way, on the penalty kill this year, about 65%. So that's about average in the league. Pretty decent. Still time, though, for St. Louis on the power play. 44 seconds to go in the penalty to Franca. Everton with it. There's a shot that hits the near post and out. Back to Everton at the top of the offensive third. There's a shot down low. Rebound in front and a goal. Gibson took the initial shot. And St. Louis able to get the short-handed one back.
Yeah, you could kind of feel that coming to just, you know, over the last 20 seconds or so, things finally got disorganized for caught in no man's land there. That's a nice finish by Gibson as well.
So St. Louis with the goal to make it 2-1 with 2:41 to go. So after a relatively lackluster first quarter and a half, at least from an offensive standpoint, couple of goals here in less than a minute. Short-handed one for the Tropics. Not sure what the they're going to check on the whistle here. I think they may have called a 3-line pass.
Yeah, Freddie trying to
trying to plead his case here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's apparently went up in towards the crowd, and somebody in the crowd reached over and touched
a little fan interference there.
I didn't think it was that long a ball, but it will be a restart for St. Louis from the Florida red line.
Yeah, fairly tasty restart for the ambush here, and that's why Mugen is frustrated, because they didn't do anything wrong.
Three-line violation.
Oh, I guess they will call it a 3-line violation.
There you go. That explains it.
And St. Louis will spend their time out here to decide what the best strategy is with 2:34 to go. So, yeah, nice goal for St. Louis in terms of just making sure things don't get away from them here.
Well, right. They had to have it. I mean, there's no question about it. You give up a shorty, especially early in the penalty like that, and they had a minute 26 left on the clock when Florida scored the short-handed goal. So, well done by St. Louis to buck up and go get that, and they absolutely had to have it. Pablo da Silva, the one who finished it off from Gibson. And now, you look forward, last 2:34 here. First, St. Louis has got this really tasty opportunity. I think if you're the ambush with how well Florida's defended tonight, you'd be thrilled to go into halftime level at 2. As for Florida, this St. Louis team just doesn't get blown out. They play close games. And they're going to be in for a fight tonight to defend their home floor.
Yeah, you're going to have to earn it. And Florida just 3-3 at home this year. That's a bit of a surprise. Actually, above 500 on the road so far. So defending the home turf is not something the Tropics have done as well as they would like. By the way, those 2 goals, the shorthanded goal by Arico came at 11:11, and then the power play marker by Da Silva at 11:48. So 2 goals within about 37 seconds of each other. Puts us at 2-1. So restart here for St. Louis at the Florida red line. Down low, there's a shot, and not even close.
I don't love that play because that's such a tough angle to score from. Yeah, you're going to get a clean look, but how clean is it when you can barely see the far post from that vantage point?
And that was our friend Corey Adamson, who's had a tough first half.
Yes,
anyway,
he has.
So.
He certainly has.
But a pretty good look nonetheless. And we did see actually a couple of really sharp angle goals scored last week by the Tropics against Syracuse. And even from a sharp angle, when you get that much space, it's a little bit of a ticklish moment.
Love the press here from St. Louis. Very well done. And Everton has been kind of the leader of it over the last few minutes. Starting to take over the game.
Easy to spot with those nice pink shoes out there. Gets it over to Da Silva, being watched by Mugin.
A lot of them have
Hernandez
those on.
Making a run, bangs it off the boards. Mugin back there to help. Still in front, comes through the box. And Guilherme will clear the zone here.
Everton will be frustrated not to have a whack at that.
Hernandez being watched by Schlemper. Leaves it now for Nascimento. Has Paulo on the back of his jersey. There's number 17. Ambush will reset the offense here, and Nascimento will come well off his line now, all the way out to the midfield stripe. Here's Adamson. Adamson to the red line, pulls the trigger, misses near post.
That's actually one of his better attempts of the night. Well, that was a tough shot. He had a few defenders in there, and he very nearly weaved it through.
Yeah, and he kind of had Sliwa going in the wrong direction.
Yes, he did.
Here's Tyrone Hall. Tries to get it through to Schlemper. Schlemper trying to catch up to it and just couldn't get there. Just a stride too far. And now St. Louis with a chance. It's Matthias. Matthias at the red line. He'll wait for some help now. So both teams with close opportunities that never quite developed. 30 seconds to play.
Had to see Schlemper right at the end of his shift running out of gas there trying to catch up to that ball.
The start of the shift might have been a different story.
Yep.
You're right. There's a bicycle kick try, and it'll go out of play. It'll be a kick in for Florida with 12.8 seconds to go.
How about the ball skills, though, by Everton? Yeah. He's fun to watch. Really, really enjoy watching him.
He's the right guy to get it turned around in St. Louis, no question about it. It was a nice move to get him to come over from the Rampage in the offseason.
Yeah, really great pickup. And I think a huge reason why they've been so much more competitive this season.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
He's been their best player, really. Him and Da Silva.
There's a long ball down to Diegues. Diegues for the shot and a goal! Remarkable play by Ricardo Diegues. And the Tropics have taken a 3-1 lead.
Well, Everton is not happy with the referee. I think he said that Florida started too early.
No doubt about it.
He's been their best player, really. Him and Da Silva.
There's a long ball down to Diegues. Diegues for the shot and a goal! a long pass and then
it's just
turned and fired to get the goal.
It's a great individual goal for Diegues, and we talked about it right off the top, that a surprise boost that he was healthy. We thought he wouldn't play, and I mean, what a backbreaker for St. Louis at the end of the half here, and an individual error by Robert Acosta to get blown off the ball that easily. Really disappointing for the ambush.
Yeah, you don't expect that. Now St. Louis with a chance, and they skitter one through the box right as the horn goes to end the half. So St. Louis wasn't necessarily done either, but a big goal by Diegues as he is able to give the Tropics a 3-1 lead heading to intermission. So Lightning striking for Florida very late in the second quarter to take a 3-1 lead. We'll be back with some halftime festivities. We'll get a chance to catch up with other games around the MASL and some league news as well. When we return, it's Florida 3 and St. Louis 1. This is Soccer Night Florida.
I love my job, truly because of the people.
I'm actually looking forward to stepping into the office every single day.
I love working at Sykes because I love talking to people from around the country and just hearing their story.
I like the customer interaction.
And it helps me feel that I'm being part of something bigger than myself.
And the reason I love my job is the opportunity to make such great relationships with so many different people.
I work in a family more than at an actual call center.
Yo, yo, yo. All right.
After we do Joe, yeah, just so hang out, yeah. Yep. Okay, good deal. Joe, our camera's right up here, right above the monitor.
All right.
You'll see yourself on the monitor, but.
What are you going to ask?
I'm sorry?
What are you going to ask? What are you going to ask?
Oh, well, just about, the playing close to home and some of the things we talked about on the phone, why you've been so successful in the game and, what you hope to bring to the Tarpons and the team and, just general things like that.
All right.
Let me move this so it's up just a little farther, closer to your mouth.
All
there
right.
you go. Is that good?
Yeah,
You
perfect.
good? Okay, good.
I got you on my mind. I've been watching you. Out of control.
Your Lady Tropics dance game is presented by GL Flooring Incorporated and Mid-Florida Vacation Home Rentals. To learn more about their services, visit fltropics.com/LadyTropics.
Halftime here at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida. And for our fans tuning in tonight here in Central Florida, you might recognize this guy. You may not, because he's not a soccer player, but he's a heck of an athlete. And on this very floor, starting in April, actually in March, although they'll be on the road, the Florida Tarpons of the American Arena League will bring pro indoor football back to the Lakeland Center. And the guy that is the package under the Christmas tree, even though it's a little after the holidays, is Joe Hills, the man to our right. And if you're a fan of arena football, you certainly know the name Joe Hills. He is the all-time leading receiver for the Tampa Bay Storm, and he will be bringing his talents here to the Florida Tarpons, who will have their home opener on April 14th here at the RP Funding Center. Joe, you guys actually open with a couple of games on the road, so you get a chance to get your feet wet, but your numbers in the Arena Football League are just staggering. 81 consecutive games with at least one touchdown catch. You're the reigning two-time defending receiver of the year. You were the offensive player of the year for the entire Arena League in 2018. Seems like you've got something figured, or 2016. Seems like you've got something figured out about arena football. You're from nearby Palmetto High School, so it's really exciting for us here in Lakeland to welcome you to our city and to have you be part of the Tarpons and part of the pro sports experience in Lakeland. First of all, welcome, and tell us a little bit about how you've become such a star in arena football.
Well, first of all, I give all my credit to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, nothing is possible. But I've just been a student of the game. You know, I work real hard on the off seasons. I'm positive everybody else do too as well. And I just kind of, you know, play every down like it's my last. I'm fortunate enough to be in this situation that I'm in, and I just try to take advantage of, you know, every opportunity that comes my way.
And I know Michael Taylor, the coach and president of the Tarpons, you've known Michael for a long time and kind of kidded with him for a while, that someday maybe you'll get a chance to play for him.
Absolutely.
And that day comes. Tell us a little bit about playing for the Tarpons and what you hope to accomplish with this franchise being new to Lakeland, although the sport is not new to Lakeland, but the Tarpons are certainly new, and what are you expecting to contribute, and what are you looking forward to this season?
Well, Coach Taylor's my guy, man. I've known him for a long time, and like you said, you know, I did tell him that at some point I'm positive our paths will cross, and with the Storm going under as they did, and you know, it was just only right for me to, you know, stay close to home and you know, get to play in front of my family, you know, on a weekly basis, and I look to bring forward just a lot of passion and effort, and you know, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of catches, you know, a lot of wins. I haven't won a championship yet, so I'm thinking, you know, now's the time, you know. So this is what I look to bring forward to, you know, Lakeland is the championship.
Well, your numbers are like video game numbers. 230 career touchdowns now in 8 seasons of pro indoor football. Tell us a little bit. You are from Palmetto, a graduate of Palmetto High School, and I know you kind of came back to the Tampa and Palmetto area to set your roots down last year with Tampa Bay. You've got a young, lovely family, and I know they're important to you, and kind of staying close to home was a little bit, at least, of a motivating factor, I'm sure, for you.
Absolutely, man. Like you said, I'm from Palmetto, which is about, I say about an hour and 15 minutes south.
I got a couple of back ways I can share with you. We can shave a little bit of time off that.
Absolutely. So, you know, it was only right, man. I get tired of, you know, leaving, and every offseason I got to come back home and pick up the pieces, and then when the pieces are all together, I got to leave again. So I got kind of tired of that. My family's tired of it. We just bought a house in Ruskin, so it's gonna be fun, man. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be fun. I just I'm looking forward to it. I'm very anxious. I would love to go down here and play soccer with these guys. So
yeah, your first arena soccer game. What do you think?
Hey, man, it's a little different. It's a little different, but it's fun. It's fun.
It's different, and yet in some ways it's kind of similar to arena football because you're playing with less players. You know, you play with 5-a-side in soccer, 7 in the arena game, but you're playing in a much smaller and condensed space than obviously the game is normally played in. So creating that kind of space is really critical in soccer, and I assume that's something in arena football that as a receiver is really difficult to do, is to create some space and separation from the defensive backs because they're so close to you all the time anyway.
Absolutely, man. You just got to be a little bit more craftier, man, or, you know, work on your foot speed and, you know, staying balanced and stuff like that. But it's definitely doable, and I've had a lot of success doing it.
Well, at 6 feet 6'4". He's got the height advantage, certainly, over a lot of the defensive backs you'll see this year. Joe, it's great to have you with us. We look forward to seeing you. As we said, the Tarpons will play a 9-game regular home season. They'll start with 2 on the road, and then you come right out of the gate on April 14th here against the Richmond Rough Riders.
Be here.
Yeah, absolutely, because the Rough Riders and Tarpons played in the league championship game last season. The Tarpons lost on the last play of the game, literally up in Richmond. So it's payback time. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the kind. Is that for you kind of even more exciting to get a chance to come out of the gate against a team like Richmond, which is one of the teams, if not the team, to beat in the AAL this year?
Absolutely, man. I'm I don't look past anybody, and I take every game one game at a time. But when the time comes, we will show up. We will show up, and I can say this to any team in the AAL: be prepared. Be prepared, because we are coming.
And it'll be exciting, and Joe Hills will provide a lot of that excitement, to be sure. Joe, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It'll only be a couple of months, and we'll see you down on the field playing, and we look forward to it.
Thank you.
You'll get more information on the Tarpons at www.floridatarpons.com. The Tarpons and the Tropics kind of helping each other out a little bit, which is nice as tenants of this building. And we look forward to really the excitement of the soccer season ending and the excitement of the arena football season coming in right behind that. Joe Hills and the Tarpons, April 14th, the home opener here at the RP Funding Center. We're going to take a short break and be back in just a moment with more halftime. This is Soccer Night Florida on MASL.TV.
I love my job truly because of the people.
I'm actually looking forward to stepping into the office every single day.
I love working at Sykes because I love talking to people from around the country and just hearing their story.
I like the customer interaction.
And it helps me feel that I'm being part of something bigger than myself.
And the reason I love my job is the opportunity to make such great relationships with so many different people.
I work in a family more than at an actual call center.
Like what is just a foul and a blue card? What you look for? What determines what things?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to ask that, and then maybe about the state of refereeing.
Back here at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida, with Ryan Sigich. He is the head of officials for the Major Arena Soccer League. Nice to see you as a fan tonight instead of on the floor. Are you enjoying the game a little more?
I am enjoying the game, absolutely, yeah. Nobody's yelling at me yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they don't know you. If you had your uniform on, they'd probably recognize you.
They probably would,
so.
yeah.
Hey, we wanted to touch on a couple of things. You officiated the game last week here against Syracuse.
Right.
And I get the question quite often, and I think it would be instructive for fans that are looking in tonight. The difference, if you will, between a foul and a blue card. What are you guys and what are you instructing your officials to look at in making the determination of whether it's just a common foul or if it's going to be a 2-minute penalty?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same as we look for in the outdoor game. So, you got to then, the safety of the players. Does that foul impact that? Is it a bad tackle? There's a couple things indoor that are a little different where you look for the 2-footed tackle. That should be a automatic 2-minute penalty.
And we had one of those last week, did we not?
Yeah. Yes, we did. Also the tactical type fouls, any fouls that breaks up an attack on goal. So really no difference than the outdoor game. You're looking for the misconduct types, the severe type of fouls.
And one big difference is the boards. And when you have interaction and physical play along the boards, that can also be a determining factor, I'm sure, in a blue card.
Absolutely. I mean, the boards obviously bring a whole dynamic into it where you got a safety issue there. Players getting boarded into the board. So, yeah, we got to look at that very closely as well.
And just overall, the challenges, I know a lot of you guys do both indoor and outdoor, obviously. The challenges of the indoor game with the speed and the craziness of it, the human pinball element, if you will.
Right.
How do you as referees try and stay on top of all that? Because that's got to be very difficult.
Brian, it's not easy, obviously. I mean, the game is fast. It's not objective. It's subjective calls, referee's opinion. And, quite frankly, we got to make a call looking at a play in one time from one angle, full speed. We don't have replay yet.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the other sports do. And, I'll put it up with, we have a pretty good crew. And if you look at the other pro leagues, the Christmas Day with the NBA, the controversy, the NFL and the Chiefs last week. So I think a lot of it's just sports. We try to do the best we can and, always learn from the mistakes.
And positioning is a real key for you guys in terms of, you try and bracket plays, and
Absolutely.
You've got an official that has one viewpoint, you've got another, and that I assume the mechanics
It's all about
of that.
angles. Yeah, it's a lot about the angles, too.
Which is funny because that's the sport.
That's right.
Right. So, all right. Well, Ryan,
thanks.
Ryan, we really appreciate it. I ran into you today, and I'm thinking, well, geez, I didn't see you on the sheet to be the official tonight. So I'm glad you're able to sit back, enjoy it, and have a good time tonight. And you're welcome anytime, either in uniform or just as a fan.
It.
All right, Ryan Sigget's the head of the officials of the Major Arena Soccer League, is a fan tonight, and we thank him for stopping by to give us an idea of what they see on a nightly basis in the league. We'll take a quick break and then get back with third quarter action. It's Florida 3, St. Louis 1 on Soccer Night Florida on MASL.TV. Just about set to go here for third quarter action on Sykes Field here in Lakeland, Florida tonight. The first half recap, Victor Pereira's got the Tropics going at 12:27 of the first, and then the shorthanded goal by Anthony Arrico at 11:11 of the second made it 2-0. Pablo da Silva at 11:48 on the power play made it 2-1, and then the big goal by Dieguez right there at the end of the second quarter with just 8 seconds to go. That came at 14:52 on the assist by Marco Rodriguez, that great long pass to Dieguez in the box, and the great skills by Dieguez to control it, turn, fire, and get the goal. So 3-1 is where we stand here as Tyrone Hall makes a nice hustle play, brings it up the left side, waiting for some help, gets it over to Pereiras. Pereiras tried to go to the left foot, had it blocked.
A little bit too much on that last touch there by Victor. He controlled that to himself a little bit more. Maybe would have been able to get the left foot shot off.
Gibson with it for the ambush. This is Matthias. St. Louis just content right now to try and find some space and finally get it into the Florida end of the field. Acosta will track it down. Now through into Gibson, little give and go. There's a shot and a goal. So St. Louis comes out quickly. It's Pepe with the goal.
Well, after that back time tonight, Arrico makes a mistake as Joao Pepe just lost him and blazed through at a perfectly timed run. Just a great little bit of a two-forward play. One guy holds up, the other guy makes his run. Well timed, and there you go. Arrico losing the battle to Joao Pepe on the little man marking, and that's that.
Had him by a half a step and never could catch up, and Pepe able to get it by Sliwa, who was a little shaken up on the play. Might have hit the back of his head, it looks like, but I think he will probably stay in the game. So St. Louis comes out just 1:24 into the third quarter to cut it to 3-2, and you're right, a big goal.
Really, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but you've won 2 games in 2 years, right? Well, a year and a half. So, you're sitting here, you're 2-32 in your last 34 games. If I have that in the back of my mind, and I see Florida score with no time left on the clock in the second quarter to go into the locker room down 2, and it felt like I could have been tied. you know, a lot of credit has to go to St. Louis and to Gibson and Pepe in particular for coming out here and making a big play to get their team riled up at the start of the third quarter.
By the way, they're deep now into the fourth quarter up in Syracuse, and the Silver Knights have taken a 4-3 lead over Baltimore. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And a collective hush fell over our audience.
Syracuse was actually down 3-1 in that game and have scored the last 3 goals.
It's not an easy thing to do against the Blast.
Ricardinho will get the restart opportunity here. Corey Adamson will defend. Here's Mugin with a miss hit at the top of the arc, but the Tropics will control. Just briefly, though, as J.P. Reyes deflected it towards the box and Nascimento covers easily.
I don't know how much of a lane Freddie had there, but he'll be frustrated that he scuffed that.
De Silva on the counter now for St. Louis.
I don't think he had a real chance to score, even if he had struck it clean. So not something for Freddie to be too upset about.
Everton taken down, and the Tropics will come back. Nice play by Mugin, and he's hauled down, and it'll only be a foul, not a penalty.
I think that's the right call. I didn't see any tugging. I think he just got tripped up. Not a ton of contact, just a toe in the wrong place, and Mugin not going to pass up an opportunity to get a free kick.
Ricardinho will put it in play for Florida. We thank Ryan Sigich for joining us at halftime to talk a little bit about and there's a hard push by Schmerman.
Well, if you're St. Louis now, you get back into the game. You've got a little fire, but you got to control that. And
then that was getting close to the dashboard, something that we talked about briefly, and that's when the blue card can come out, when you'll get some physical play along the boards, but a big push like that where player safety becomes an issue is one of the things that will trigger it. There's a shot in front on a redirect, and I think Nascimento got a piece of it. I think it might have hit him right top of the chest, almost up near his head.
Schlemper was in perfect position to score that. It was a great ball by Ricardinho, and Paulo Nascimento with his left hand just got enough of the ball to knock it away. Nice save.
Schlemper, as we said, has been pretty quiet over the last couple of games. Here's an intercept by Guilherme. Now Guilherme with it deep in the corner off the boards, and Mugin was a little deep.
They really wanted Freddie.
Challenged by Pereiras. Mugin takes it away. Shot. Nascimento the save.
Yeah, they really wanted Freddie right there in front of the box. Sorry, Brian. And he was just positioned. You know, he loves to wait on the boards, but Guilherme tried to play off the near board rather than the far board. That was the play for Mugin, and just a little bit out of position.
Gibson with it down low for St. Louis. Retains possession, gives it to Stinson, and Stinson's taken down, a whistle and a foul.
I don't know about that. It's just a case of Monolaris being so much bigger than him.
Well, nonetheless, St. Louis will get a very dangerous restart opportunity here. Almost, actually, even a little closer than the top of the arc. Don't know if Florida's, they're going to try and get away with a two-man wall here with... at least at the moment. Now it'll be a 3-man wall. I thought they would do that. There's a shot, and that never did get through. Good job by the defense, the wall there, to maintain their form and integrity and never give St. Louis an opportunity to penetrate.
They've done really well. Really, the only mistake made tonight was Rico losing Joao Pepe at the start of this quarter.
Gibson with it, being watched in there by Monolaris. Good play by Hall to break that up.
The other goal they gave up, of course, was on a penalty. So, you know, you shake your head and you say, oh, well. They got a shorthanded at the same time.
Right.
So
kind of Max Nix there.
Yeah, that was really the one slip up by the defense tonight. And it was a midfielder. So they've been virtually unimpeachable.
Nascimento just clears it out of trouble. Stinson will track it down. Tyrone Hall in there. And Hall is taken down hard. He had a bit of a foot injury, and that's going to be a blue card.
But for who?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a
they both went down.
Yeah, it was a collision between Hall and Stinson, but I think it's going to be Stinson who was whistled. And Hall, I know, was battling a bit of a foot injury. He did not dress last week because of it.
Both officials came out with it, and I think you're right. It's you can always tell by who's complaining.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's St. Louis that is not at all pleased with that call. But this is a break for Florida as long as Ty Hall remains fit.
They're still talking about it over in the box, but the ambush will not win that argument, and Stinson will head to the box. Still complaining a bit. Stinson just signed by the ambush. I believe this is his second game with them. Got signed the same day that Rafael Nascimento got traded over from the Tropics.
Well, let's see what they've got cooked up here. Watch Freddie Mugin. He's going back to that spot he loves to sit at, just poaching on that far post.
Here's Pereira's long shot, and that is off the mark. Teixeira out there with Pereira's. And up front, it's Freddie, Schlemper, and Dieguez. Beg your pardon, that's Lucas Montoleros up front.
You got that
Dieguez
size.
Yeah.
He acts more of as a screen.
And Pereira sends that about halfway to Connorsville.
That was a bomb, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That was a bomb, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Just not quite in the right direction.
No. No, they got a lot of heavy hitters on this Florida team. Dieguez, Pereira, Teixeira can really whack it. Coutinho, who we're not seeing tonight. And, of course, Salas, who's also out injured. I do think Florida have covered pretty well, all things considered, for those injuries. No, they have not been nearly as dynamic offensively, but to have Dieguez with that one terrific individual effort, Pereira's had the good goal. They're getting enough.
Not that Lakeland fans got a chance to see him over the summer, but Stinson played for St. Louis in the USL PDL, where the Lakeland Tropics played last summer. He appeared in 13 games for the St. Louis Lions. Of course, the Lakeland Tropics back for season 2. They've got a big announcement coming up in the next week or so. Here's a long shot, and that never got through by Montoleros.
It's an exciting tease, Brian.
Of course, one of the things the Lakeland Tropics are hoping for is hosting a U.S. Open Cup event. Of course, they haven't gotten the invitation yet, but all indications are they will. Here's Pereiras. Back to Teixeira. Down low to Montoleros now. Pereiras with it. St. Louis again keeping Florida outside the box, and Mugin can't get it once Schlemper finally tried to make the penetrating pass. Nascimento will just loft it to the midfield line. 23 seconds left in the Florida power play. They have not really had a great opportunity so far.
Haven't really threatened. This is a St. Louis penalty kill at 69% for the year.
There's a shot. Go! Well, that one just snuck through a crowd and found its way to the far post. And Victor Pereiras makes it a 4-2 game.
I'll tell you what, Brian, Ricardinho tried one of those in the second quarter.
He had a great opportunity so
far.
I
haven't really threatened. This is a St. Louis penalty kill at 69% for the year.
There's a shot. Go!
And so that is poor luck for the keeper, and one that he will desperately want back. And oh boy, just to jump right over him like that, it took, we're not playing on grass. It took a weird hop off the floor, just kind of a quirk of the indoor game. Whereas that's an outdoor goal, you say, well, the keeper's got to do better. But when it takes a weird hop like that,
he had some English on it.
No question. that is kind of a tough break for Paulo Nascimento, and a big goal for Florida to convert off that opportunity.
Second of the night for Victor. He opened the scoring, you might recall, late in the first quarter.
Got to be impressed with him stepping up too. They've asked a little bit more out of him later in this season, and he has delivered tonight. Him and Enrico, I think, have both been terrific.
Here's Dieguez. He's got Franca making a run. Dieguez tries to get it through. Franca can't quite get there as Schmerman came back to make a nice defensive play. And now the ambush with a counter. This is Hernandez. Guilherme trying to chase him down, and Guilherme bothered him just enough to make Hernandez shoot it perhaps a little quicker than he wanted, and he shot it wide.
Great defense by Guilherme. And Great defense on the other end on that breakaway by Acosta, who was beaten by Diegues. You'll remember late in that for that late goal in the second quarter, and he was much, much better on that one.
Bad mistake there by Sliwa as he cleared it right out of play, so it'll be a restart from the top of the penalty arc here for St. Louis.
For all your roofing needs and quality you can count on, call us at 863-210-5583. Comprehensive Roofing.
Matthias right now will be the trigger man, puts it in place. Shot, good save by Sliwa as he stuck out the right arm. Chase down the middle of the field. Diegues and Everton with it. Over to Pereiras looking for the hat trick. On the half volley, can't really get a good strike. And the Tropics will control it back out at midfield.
Love that controlled touchdown by Diegues, though. Gave him a chance. That's some great stuff.
Again, through ball to Pereiras from Ricardinho. Pressure in there. And Nascimento just clears it. Guilherme steps up. Here's a chance in front. Shot. Oh, and they're going to call a handball against Florida.
That's smart pressure, though. That's what we're talking about when we say press. It's not in the center circle, dive at a guy. It's when you've got a team in a vulnerable position, force them to make a mistake. That was great pressure by Pereiras and from Ricardinho to force the issue, win the ball back, and just an unfortunate handball preventing a clear-cut chance for the Florida Tropics.
You're right. Really good recognition that St. Louis was in trouble right there, and the defense stepped up and created that opportunity.
And it's not just defense that has to press. When you play a press, the offensive players, in particular, the guy who's playing center forward, have a big responsibility to keep the pressure constant and never let the opposing team get comfortable.
Oh, and they're going to whistle that one dead. Freddie Mugin had a potential break. No continuation, in part because Pereiras was taken down pretty hard.
Yeah, Mugin frustrated, and I'm not sure Victor realized the kind of chance that was developing for his team, but he looks pretty shaken up here.
So a chance whistle dead by the officiating crew, veteran crew here tonight. So Pereiras will be attended to. Visit Sonny's Barbecue on 98 North or South Florida Avenue in Lakeland for the best barbecue experience you could ever want. Whether it's a quick lunch or a family meal, you'll leave happy and full at Sonny's Barbecue. 2 locations here in Lakeland, 98 North or South Florida Avenue. So if you're planning to visit to Central Florida, make sure you make it a stop at Sonny's Barbecue. Can't come to Florida without having a little barbecue, and Sonny's got the best.
They are so good. Got one right down the street from me on Lee Road in Winter Park up in Orlando. Oh, it is delicious.
Pereiras is up and okay. A little shaken up. He'll get a little more attention on the bench, but good news for the Tropics. They certainly do not
well, they can't afford to lose anybody else.
Right, exactly right. If you're just tuning in, no Mauricio Salas tonight, out with a leg injury. No Lucas Coutinho, he is out with a leg injury. And we thought Ricardo Diegues would not play tonight, but he has played and played well.
Teachers, let's give them a round of applause, Tropics fans.
Nice hand here recognizing the teachers.
Teacher Appreciation Night here in Florida. A lot of kids out here tonight as well.
Every night really should be Teacher Appreciation Night. I live with one. She's brilliant, and they do.
She made you say that. I know.
Well, no, kind of. No. I kid. They are phenomenal public servants, and always great to see organizations like the Tropics give a little shout out and appreciation to our teachers. And I think I speak for you when I say thank you from us as well.
Absolutely. My dad was a teacher and educator, so no question about it. Not nearly an easy a job as they would.
No. Our job is a lot easier.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. All we have to do is watch and talk. The Tropics lead at 4-2, 6.5 to go here, third quarter. Teixeira will drive it down to Freddie. Mugin will play it back out to Schlemper, who just missed one here earlier tonight. Pereiras with 2, Arico and Diegues the others. Mugin with it. Off to Arico, that never got through. Tropics will control. And now it's Adamson who clears the zone. He had the block. But Florida will quickly regain possession in the midfield.
It's been a long spell of Florida possession here, hasn't it? St. Louis, I thought when they got that goal so early in the quarter, they'd be in great shape, but we haven't heard much from them since.
Franca couldn't control it in the corner. Guilherme steps up, though. Guilherme with it.
He's had a great game. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's doing a lot of really impressive things, just little half-space moves. He's caused a lot of giveaways. Really, really impressed with the Brazilian tonight.
Interesting. I thought he was coming in as an offensive player to really supplement the offense.
He's been a pure defender.
And he has been tremendous defensively right from the get-go.
He's kind of what we call in soccer a destroyer. He is there to make sure that the ball does not get into a dangerous position. He will destroy whatever the opponent is concocting. Slide tackles, aggressive challenges, but not too aggressive. That's the key to being a great destroyer, recognizing when opponents are going to play through space, and Guilherme's been brilliant at it tonight.
Ricardinho with it will feed it through to Ty Hall. Hall is pushed down, loses possession. Guilherme tries, or rather Ricardinho will pick it back up, and Hall will play it back for Reyes. Reyes being watched by Stinson, and Stinson, who served a 2-minute penalty earlier in the quarter, called for the foul there. See if we can get you an update from Syracuse.
The Syracuse game,
They've got to be
close to the end now.
Yep. There's a through ball to Diegues. Diegues has that shot blocked out of play. So they are
look at
late.
Baltimore.
Yeah, late. About a minute and a half to go in the fourth quarter, and Baltimore has come back to take a...
No, Baltimore's won the game.
5-4 lead, or is that an overtime? Yeah, it is overtime.
Baltimore,
yeah.
scoring with 16 seconds left in the fourth quarter and then winning it in overtime.
We talked about it. I think I mentioned this last week when you weren't here. I have never seen a team in arena soccer that can just will itself a goal like Baltimore.
Unbelievable what they can do.
It really is. There's a shot in front. Shot and a goal from the seat of his pants. Anthony Arrico. Well, that's one way to score it.
Talk about willing yourself to a goal. And you can tell how much this game means to him tonight. What a performance, wearing his heart on his sleeve. That's what he does. Phenomenal goal.
Just will itself a goal like Baltimore.
Unbelievable what they can do.
It really is. There's a shot in front. Shot and a goal from the seat of his pants.
Left foot is right there, and you see the dance. He was so proud of that one, and you know what? He had every right to be. That was fantastic.
That was one of the more unique ones of the year.
And for the first time in this game, they have some cushion. There's some distance between Florida and St. Louis.
If there is such a thing in indoor soccer.
True.
Yeah. 5-2 looks pretty good right now with 4.5 to go, but still in just the third quarter.
I can't get over what a game it must have been in Syracuse tonight.
Yeah,
Silver Knights coming back from 3-1 down to lead. 16 seconds left, and Baltimore tie the game, and then a minute and a half into overtime, they win it.
Yeah,
amazing.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, literally, they seem to be able to will themselves a goal whenever they need it.
That's a regular occurrence. They do it all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do. Here's a chance in front now for St. Louis, and Reyes will clear the zone. They won the league championship last year by scoring in the dying seconds down in Sonora.
They almost did it to Florida back in November.
Yeah,
Remember, they tied late, and then Lucas Teixeira hit the game winner before they could even get it to overtime.
Ricardinho with some pressure, so St. Louis just clears it to the midfield. And Reyes will play it all the way back to Peter Sliwa.
It's a good result for Florida, though. You look at when you're in a playoff battle with somebody, when you can win that, you beat the first place team, that's basically an extra win. And Syracuse literally 16 seconds away from that tonight, and it is snatched away from them at the final dying embers.
Teixeira over to Franca, gets it back. Here's a shot. Oh, and Nascimento comes out and denies.
What a ball by Franca.
Yeah, beautiful play. And Nascimento a little shaken up. Again, good anticipation by Nascimento as The Tropics look to take a 6-2 lead, and Anthony Arrico looked to complete his hat trick.
Well, Nascimento had no choice but to just hang in there and take the contact, and it was the only thing stopping that from going in the back of the net.
The equivalent of a corner kick coming up here for the Tropics. Comes back out to Monaleros, looks for a shooting lane, can't find it.
He'd like to get himself on the scoreboard,
Yep.
huh?
And he's got the left-footed shot to do it. Now all the way back to Sliwa. So if you're a Tropics fan, ultimately a good result in Syracuse. Nascimento out in no man's land. Diegues tracks it down. Diegues. Now Pereira takes a whack at it, and it'll go out of play.
Not a bad idea. Just see if you can bounce it off of somebody, set up a set piece, and he's done just that.
So Syracuse falls back to 5-5. The Tropics would improve to 7-5 if they could hang on here tonight. But lots of soccer left to play here on Sykes Field at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida. Here's the shot. That gets deflected in front, and it'll come all the way back out to Monaleros now.
And remember, if you're the Tropics, you kind of want to build a little bit of a lead for yourself because you have those last 4 on
absolutely.
the road at the end of the year. That is so huge, and you'd like a couple of game cushion going into that stretch.
St. Louis plays it all the way back to his goalkeeper under pressure. But you're absolutely right. That is going to be a tough road trip. Diegues with a steal. The shot, and Nascimento with a good save.
Gorgeous textbook tackle off the high press by Diegues.
Yeah, he needs to injure his neck more often, I think. He's looked sharp tonight.
They all have. It really has been a great team performance by Florida. The solidity and the consistency in the side tonight, I've been really impressed with.
Teixeira with it. Waits for some fresh legs to hit the floor in the form of J.P. Reyes and Marco Rodriguez. Ricardinho with it. Schlemper back to help out. Wanted to get it back to Ricardinho, but stolen by the ambush. Long shot. Sliwa able to knock that one down and then control the rebound nicely. Plays it up to Reyes. Over to Marco Rodriguez. And to Sliwa, pressure in there by Gibson. Now over to JP. JP with a good idea to reverse field, and now some space for Marco Rodriguez. Rodriguez pushes forward. Off the boards, Reyes will get a shot perhaps. Nope, he'll pull it back out.
Took kind of a weird bounce towards the board, and that cut off the shooting lane for Reyes. Again, we're seeing a lot of space for the counter for Florida.
Yeah.
St. Louis has to stay a little bit more compact.
I'm not sure Marco realized how much space he really had when he first started out. It was an excellent counterattack opportunity.
I agree. It did get a little bit of a slow start there, and then he kind of looked up and saw, oh my goodness, there's 30 yards in front of me.
Inside minute to play now, third quarter. Comes all the way through to Sliwa. Pressure in there by Hernandez. Cleared up on the near boards. Lucas Monaleros will slow things down back to Ricardinho. Up to Franca. Maicon Franca being pressured. Loses it. Everton with it. Challenged by Ricardinho, and a whistle and a foul on Ricardinho. St. Louis restart from the red line with 27 seconds to go. 5-2 Tropics. They would be unhappy if they gave one up here. Everton will put it in play. Long shot gets deflected out of there, and there's a crack at it by De Silva wide. Out of play, and it'll be a goal kick for Sliwa. Peter Sliwa been to the barber shop recently. It's about as much of a buzz cut as I've seen Peter have in 2 years.
About the same length as his beard.
Probably figured wanted to change things up a little after that loss last week to.
It's worked out for him, hasn't it? He's been very solid tonight.
Diegues tries to feed it to Franca.
Not a ton
Can't
to do, but he's been very composed.
Guillerme with a nice play at the midfield circle. He'll play it back to Sliwa, and the Tropics will be fairly content here, I think, to just run the clock down in the third quarter. Arrico does just that, and Florida will head to the final 15 minutes with a lead of 5-2. Comprehensive Roofing, for all your roofing needs and quality you can count on. Call us at 863-210-5583. Enter to win a new roof for free. Log on to fltropics.com/comprehensive roofing for all the information. And our thanks as well to Guardian Wealth Management, where your money is concerned. For personal service, innovative ideas, and practical advice, go to guardianwealth.net or call Guardian Wealth Management at 863-904-4760. So Baltimore, by virtue of their win tonight, improves to 10-2 on the season and continues to, for all practical purposes, I don't want to say run away with the East, but they continue to increase their lead and pull away from the pack and make that battle between Florida and Syracuse. I won't count out Harrisburg yet.
No, I wouldn't either, but they definitely are not in great form right now.
No, they've struggled, and they're 4-8 in the division in last place, so Syracuse falls to 500 at 5-5, and as we said, if the Tropics could win this one here tonight and they lead at 5-2, then Florida would actually overtake Syracuse. Essentially, the two teams were in a dead heat. Syracuse, by virtue of a higher winning percentage coming into tonight, was technically in second. But
still even in the loss column if Florida does hang on tonight.
Correct, but a game up overall since the Tropics would have 7 wins, but 2 games in hand. And those two teams will meet again in Syracuse before the end of the regular season. In fact, I think that's part of that 4-game road trip to end the regular season for the Tropics. They will end the first weekend in March with games in Milwaukee. Yeah, that's Milwaukee, who's 12-0, undefeated. The final 2 home games, by the way, here for Florida are back-to-back on a Friday and Saturday in middle of February against San Diego. And, yeah, that's San Diego, who is also undefeated, 9-0. So
the Sockers, another really historic franchise in the league.
They are, and they're very good, obviously.
Yes.
And so while
their goal differential is 44.
Yeah, in just 9 games.
Absolutely outrageous.
They haven't even played
44 in 9 games.
Yeah, they with Craig Childs and all the guys out there. They are Brian Farber, and
they give up under 3 goals a game, Brian.
Well, Chris Toth is a really top shelf, probably top 3 or 4 goalie in the league, and fans will be in for a treat when they come here to the RP Funding Center, and I'm sure San Diego, a lot of those players were here for that very historic home opener last year, which turned out to be really probably the highlight game of the year for Florida. The Tropics trailed 4-1 in the 4th quarter, came all the way back, and then Ricardo Diegues with just that spectacular kind of half scissors, half bicycle kick goal with 31 seconds to play to lift the Tropics to that win. Their first ever in franchise history, so San Diego will have a little payback on their mind when they visit in mid-February. I think that's the 16th and 17th of February, and that will conclude the regular season. Of course, the Tropics very much hoping that they will get a home playoff game this year, but that is still a long ways away and to be determined. The ambush, will see if they can get one here perhaps early and turn the momentum back their way as Monolaris has it.
I'll see if they can do what they did at the start of the 3rd, but they didn't capitalize on it. They basically went radio silent the rest of the quarter, and Florida was able to get a little bit of distance between themselves and the ambush.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. I thought the exact same thing, that after giving up that late goal to Diegues, they came out and got that early quick one, but they just couldn't build on it. Here's Pereiras with a shot, and Nascimento goes to his knees to make the stop. And Florida really took over play then, in part aided by a penalty to Stinson, but over the final 10 or 12 minutes of that quarter, it was pretty much all Tropics. Here's Schmerman, 2-on-1, back post, redirecting a goal. Gibson wide open back there, called for the ball a long time. Schmerman brought it up, and he found him, and it was an easy goal for Gerger Gibson, and St. Louis has that early one. It's 5-3.
Yeah, they got it done, right? I mean, this is what we asked.
But over the final 10 or 12 minutes of that quarter, it was pretty much all Tropics. Here's Schmerman, 2-on-1, back post, redirecting a goal. Gibson.
Somebody did not have their man, and I think it was Ricardinho who was a little bit far off the play, and Gibson was just kind of hanging out there without anybody on him. Teixeira was sweeping, and Gibson was completely lost in the shuffle. That is defending that will need to be cleaned up for the Tropics.
Yeah, I think it might have been a bit of a line change issue, too, because Teixeira came off the bench and was behind the play, and that was a bit of an issue. Here's another chance in front. The ambush with a shot and a goal. Holy cow, here comes St. Louis. It's Pepe with his second of the night, and suddenly it's a 5-4 game.
But those two guys, right, Gibson and Joao Pepe, how about this? We're sitting here counting the Tropics winning this game and going ahead in the standings, and oh boy, St. Louis Ambush still have a lot to say about it, don't they?
Yeah, apparently, and there's an issue too because Teixeira came off the bench and was behind the play, and that was a bit of an issue. Here's another chance in front. The ambush with a shot and a goal. Holy cow, here comes the second of the night, and Clay Roberts will call timeout to
I hate to say
things down.
That's a poor decision by Peter Sliwa there, Brian, to come off his line that early when he had a defender in front of him that was taking care of the play, and that left the goal so exposed when Sliwa couldn't catch up to Pepe. That was all she wrote. And normally Peter makes the right decision, but they tell goalies all the time, if you're going to come off your line, you need to get to the ball. And Sliwa did not follow through on that maxim there. A mistake by the keeper, and that allows St. Louis to cut the lead to 1.
So those two goals come 47 seconds apart. Gibson at 1:08 and Pepe at 1:57. And suddenly it's a 5-4 game. Tropics will send out Arico, Maicon Franca, Freddie Mugin, Marco Rodriguez, and Lucas Monolaris here to try and quell the fire. Those are that's the stretch that Clay Roberts likes to call those moments of fury that the Tropics had trouble surviving last year. They've been much better here in year 2 in surviving those stretches where opponents get 2 or 3 really quick goals and the Tropics don't ever recover.
That's a good time out there by Coach Roberts, though.
Absolutely. Nascimento will clear the zone. New life here for the Ambush in the 4th quarter.
Come on, Tropics fans, let's make some noise.
Monolaris collides with Matthias. Play on. Arico can't get it forward. Matthias is taken down. They will say play on. Arico has it. He's got 2 goals tonight. Challenged in there by De Silva. Whistle and a foul.
Pointless foul there by Pablo De Silva. No reason to do that. And it's this mentality thing with St. Louis. They're their own worst enemy, you know. They just have to get over the hump and get past that mentality that, oh, well, here we go again. We're in a close game. We're going to lose. You can't think that way.
Franca down the left boards. He fires, and a good block defensively in there by Hundel.
When you get an opportunity like that, get going. Get down the floor. Make something happen.
Here's Schmerman with it. Plays it back to Nascimento. Long ball into the Florida zone looking for Gibson, being watched in there by Rodriguez. Gibson's got some help. There's a shot, and that just misses. And again, a free run in the box for the St. Louis Ambush.
It is all Ambush right now. Tropics, they've been so good defensively all game, and for whatever reason, perhaps they got a little comfortable, as we did up here at the start of the 4th quarter, because they are all out of whack back there since the whistle blew.
That was Hernandez with a great opportunity to get the equalizer. Almeida ridden off the ball by Dieguez.
Well, if they'd gotten anything from Hernandez or Adamson tonight, you got to wonder.
Yeah, right?
Or Matthias.
Yeah.
None of them have contributed.
Ricardinho will settle things down here for the Tropics.
It's been Gibson and Pepe that have been the main contributors for St. Louis tonight.
Tropics will send out some fresh legs here. Teixeira with it. Ricardinho will play it all the way back to Sliwa. He's pressured. St. Louis really moving up the floor with their pressure. They had 3 guys at the Florida red line looking for the turnover. Here's Ricardinho with it. Long ball down to Dieguez. A push and a foul against Stinson.
And Stinson's got to be careful since he's already playing here on a blue card.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it was Stinson. Let me double check that. But it was definitely a foul. I think it might have been Hundelt actually on the foul.
I think it was Pepe, actually, who was walking away from that. Who was in our camera shot.
Restart chance for the Tropics. Ricardino off the boards in front. Was looking for Monolaris and couldn't find him.
Not a bad idea.
Nope,
They got Monolaris behind Nascimento, and that must have been deflected on the way out.
Yeah, it must be because it'll be a corner kick here.
Yeah, I thought that was right off Monolaris and out, but I see that it was deflected.
There's a shot in front. Rebound to Rico, and he sends that somewhere towards Bradley Junction. So that restart opportunity missed by the Tropics.
I love the South Central Florida town bingo that we've got. I've got Arcadia in the top left corner.
That's far too big. You got to enjoy the 7-Star Deli in Bradley Junction. It's the only store in town. Gas, sandwiches, know it well. Here's Pereiras. Pereiras looking for some space down the left wing in front. Mujin tried to redirect and then couldn't pick up the rebound.
Well defended by De Silva. Just to muck that up. Prevent Freddie from getting a clean look.
Chance here for the ambush, 2-on-1. Reyes trying to recover. Everton with it. Everton, good defensive play and taken away by Teixeira. Up to Diegues. He's got Nascimento out of goal. Diegues, does he have an angle? A shot. Oh, what a great defensive play. Play of the game right there by De Silva.
Phenomenal work defensively by De Silva. His goalkeeper made a mistake. He helped out and did a great job to parry that one away from Diegues, who was so comfortable with the ball at his feet. You knew he was going to put one on goal. Excellent play.
Diegues will put it in play in front, and Franca couldn't get there. It was a nice play by Diegues. Nascimento committed, and Diegues made a better play to push it around him, and De Silva was there to clear it off the line.
Seen a lot more fire here from St. Louis in the fourth. You know, in the third quarter, they were, they seemed almost content to have the one. Oh, look, we're within one, and then they didn't do much the rest of the quarter. This one, they're not resting on their laurels. Excuse me. They're coming out and they're making things happen. They are going out here for the win tonight.
Almeida with it, and Reyes steps in front of that one.
Mattress Trend is now open on South Florida Avenue in Lakeland with competitive pricing and first-class service. Our family-run business will make you.
Corner kick coming up for St. Louis here.
Satisfaction is the trend.
This will be a nice test of Florida's composure defensively.
Comes out to Everton. Taken down, whistle, and a foul. So St. Louis will get a restart again in the Florida zone. There's a restart, top of the arc, shot and a goal, and we're tied. So St. Louis has come out with 3 in the first 4.5 minutes. That one will belong to Matthias. And we're tied at 5. Florida zone. There's a restart, top of the arc, shot and a goal, and we're tied. We'll find out. But
whoever it is, he's tied the game.
It's a tie game, Tropics fans. We need you to be the 6th man, 7th man. Come on, Tropics fans, make some noise.
Monolaris will pick it up for Florida. Lays it down to Diegues. Now to Guilherme.
Florida has typically been pretty good when leading games this year. This is a surprise, to say the least.
Schlemper loses control, then Mujin gets it back out to Guilherme.
Ton of credit for the ambush, too. You know, they could have hung their heads and just said, well, that's enough. We'll just pack it up and go. And they did an outstanding job to stay with it.
Steal by St. Louis. It's Hernandez. Diegues, or rather Monolaris, steps up to break that up, but St. Louis will retain possession. Pressure by Mujin.
My best guess, Brian, is that Matthias, has a nickname that he goes by that we do not know about. I believe it was him. Yes, he's Pedalera is his nickname.
There you go.
So that's the name he's going by, is Pedalera, but that was Clayton Matthias. So your instinct to go by the roster was correct. But Pedalera is his nickname, and that is who scored the game-tying goal.
It is. Jersey, right.
It is. Well, that was what caused my initial confusion.
Kick in here for the Tropics, or a restart for the Tropics. Guilherme almost ran out of time, didn't realize that the ball was in play, I don't think. So let's see if the Tropics can regroup here in the final 9 minutes. Diegues challenged in the corner, loses possession. Guilherme tries for the tackle, misses it, and Gibson will come back. Gibson into the corner, he takes Monaleras down, and Monaleras thought he was being whistled for the foul, but it was actually against Gibson. Quick restart for Florida. Pereiras back with his line mate Diegues. Pereiras shot right on, and Nascimento makes the save.
I got to make him work a little bit harder there. Victor will want that one back. But good to see some energy from the Tropics.
$8:28 to play here. Florida will.
Three-line violation on the ambush, free kick from Tropics.
Get a free kick from the St. Louis Red Line.
Come on, Tropics fans, we can't hear you.
They certainly have guys from distance that can score. We saw Teixeira do it. We know Monaleras has a big leg.
Looks like Ricardinho all alone on the ball here.
This is a spot where Mauricio Salas would be likely used. Here's Pereiras down low, shot, good save by Nascimento, and then cleared off the line as Monaleras made a bid. Again, good defensive help. Pereiras with a weak shot as he fell to the turf, and Nascimento had no trouble with that one.
St. Louis very organized at the back, really like what they're doing. That was well done.
Oh boy. Guilherme missed it.
Everton's feet betrayed him. If he touches that down, it is an ambush lead.
I think he was as surprised as anyone that it came to him. Here's Monaleras with a shot, and that's knocked down by Nascimento.
That was Guilherme.
Yeah,
Brian.
that was Guilherme. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's been all over the floor tonight.
He has made his presence felt, certainly. Pereiras with pressure. Ricardinho will challenge Pepe, and he'll come up with the ball. Gets it ahead to Pereiras. Line change for the Tropics. 3-on-2. Pereiras shot! Just misses on the short side. He had Mugin with him coming off the bench, and Marco Rodriguez was up there as well.
Pereiras really trying to take this game over. He's taking ownership here. As a leader, he wants to go in there and get this game back under control.
Here's Freddie in the box, taken down, no call. Whistle is put away on that one, as Rodriguez will control it for the Tropics to Arico, and on the right side to Franca.
Both Mugin and Schlemper barking at the referee.
Schlemper pushed down hard. Whistle and a foul, so a dangerous restart spot here for Florida.
Oh, wow.
That was barely outside the box.
Yeah, that was very close. This should terrify ambush fans, although I'll say the initial spot where they put it right around the
they
penalty
gave him a worse
line.
angle.
Yeah, they ended up making it a little bit more to the benefit of St. Louis. So
let's see what the Tropics can concoct here. They've got Mugin at the top of the arc, Marco Rodriguez out at the red line, J.P. Reyes and Maicon Franca. As we said, no Mauricio Salas, no Lucas Coutinho tonight. And Florida will call a timeout right here, so they may put different personnel on the floor. We'll see how Coach Clay Roberts wants to play it. Phil Averbuck, your local criminal law attorney, is our penalty box sponsor tonight. Go to averbucklaw.com or give him a call at 863-533-9000 for more information. At Averbuck Criminal Law, our goals are your goals. And many thanks to Rockin' Bouncies, who has been a longtime partner of Tropics Soccer, indoors and out. Our Kids Zone partner, Rockin' Bouncies, has so much to choose from to make your next birthday party special. Log on to myrockinparty.com or just go see them to discuss your next event. So, Evan Weston, you're the coach of the Florida Tropics. What's the message here with 7 minutes and 2 seconds to go in a 5-5 game?
I like what they've done over the last couple of minutes. I'd say keep it under control. Remember that this is your home floor. You're here to protect your home floor. Keep that composure that got them so far in the first 3 quarters and seemed to abandon them in the first 5 minutes of the fourth. They've gotten it back to where they want to be. They seem to have taken the game by the horns again, but now you have to follow through and finish. And I think that's exactly where they're headed. For St. Louis, they've shown a lot of spunk. I mean, I'll say this, and it's not to disparage them, but last year's St. Louis team would have rolled over, and that would have been it when we got to 5-2 here. But this team, they're so close, and it's hard. I know we're on Soccer Night Florida, but man, it's hard not to root for them a little bit, just because they've gotten so close so many times this year, and they only have that one win just before Christmas against Cedar Rapids to show for it.
Well, we'll let them get their next win next weekend if we could be so kind, and it would be especially nice if they could do it against Syracuse.
Yes, there you go. We'll pull hard for St. Louis in that one. But I'll tell you what, though, this is a scrappy team. They're a team that fights, and I really like watching them play.
So now it's Monaleris and Mugin at the top of the box, as we expected. Different personnel out there for the Tropics. Here's the restart, shot by Schlemper, and it never got through. And it'll come all the way back to Sliwa. So St. Louis got their 2 goals in a space of 13 seconds at 1:08 and 1:21. And then the equalizer at 4:39. So basically 3 goals within a span of about 3.5 minutes. And that's that moments of fury that Coach Roberts talks so often about. But certainly time for the Tropics to recover with 6.5 to go. But we knew this would not necessarily be easy tonight, and it has not. Arica with it at the midfield circle. A takedown and a foul against Teixeira, I believe. It was away from the play, but
Hundelt took a shot there.
No, they say apparently against J.P. Reyes.
Well, whatever works. St. Louis with the ball. And a blue card, oh boy. Right at the end there, a blue card comes out right at the end. Just as they were getting set for a free kick. And now Reyes going to the penalty box, Brian.
Yeah, I have no idea what that's all about.
And Clay Roberts is
furious.
Fired up, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Could it have been for what he was saying after
Yeah, but you
whistle?
don't normally see a blue card in that. You get a yellow card for dissent.
Sure.
But
very odd.
You don't normally get penalized to be a man down.
Well, Clay Roberts is going to plead his case here, though. He's getting his money's worth.
The dissent yellow card, you play still 5 aside. The individual offender, the complainer, if you will, goes to the box. But you don't have to play shorthanded. But J.P. Reyes, indeed.
Well, what a huge call at this point in the game.
And that was unusual because, as you point out, it came out of the pocket very late. And don't know what that was all about. So,
absolutely massive call at this point in the game, though, Brian.
Well, hey, the Tropics have one shorty tonight. Why
That's
not
true.
2, right? Of course, St. Louis also has a power play goal.
Right, they gave up a goal on that same power play. Wouldn't it be nice if you got to bring somebody out of the box after you score shorthanded?
In front, here's a chance now for De Silva. Left-footed shot and a goal. Pretty shot by De Silva. Caught a piece of the post, caught a piece of Sliwa and into the net.
How great has De Silva been in this fourth quarter? Saving the lead, or the tie rather, on one end, and then making a huge play there to knock it through top shelf. And we'll go back to that call. It was just a very odd sequence, and credit to the ambush, quickly converting on the power play, and their first lead of the night.
Second power play goal.
Wouldn't it be nice if you got to bring somebody out of the box after you score shorthanded?
In front, here's a chance now for De Silva. Left-footed shot and a goal. Predict the top corner clean. So Florida has 5 minutes, 40 seconds or so to find an answer. And that won't be one there, as the long ball is easily intercepted by the ambush and Adamson. 4 goals here in the fourth quarter for St. Louis. Mugin with some pressure to roll back to Nascimento. Freddie again sticks a leg in there. Here's Rodriguez, tried to find Freddie in the St. Louis zone, couldn't do it. Everton will control for the ambush. Taken away by Rodriguez. Rodriguez plays it up to Pereiras. Pereiras through to Mugin. Tropics, though, really don't have any numbers in the St. Louis zone, so they'll play it back out to the midfield line.
And Clay Roberts faced with an almost unfathomable decision 10 minutes ago. When does he go to 6?
Yeah, right.
He went to 6 against Baltimore when they were down 6-2 with 12.5 minutes left, and they almost came back to tie. And then, of course, they had the great comeback last weekend against Syracuse.
Chance for the ambush, and Sliwa will knock it away as Acosta tried to use the dasher boards. Here's Franca ahead to Dieguez, and Nascimento will come out and clear it out of danger. Pereira stepped up, tried to get the header. Now it'll be a foul against St. Louis.
Too much by Almeida there. You hear the crowd getting into this one, too. They are behind their Tropics, trying to find their footing at this 4-goal barrage by St. Louis. You think they learned something from the Kansas City game?
Yeah, maybe.
Shoes on the other foot tonight. And it's the Tropics that are the victims so far. Still some time, though.
Rodriguez will collect it. 6th attacker jersey is on. Ricardinho on the bench.
I think that's the right guy to run it, too. Go back there and control it.
I think we still may be 45 seconds or a minute away from that, but we'll see.
I think so, too.
With just a 1-goal deficit, you don't want to do it too early and give up a cheapie and really cost your team a chance to get the equalizer.
Here he comes.
So Ricardinho is on the floor as the 6th attacker at the 3:28 mark.
Again, I really like the aggression by Clay Roberts. Even if it doesn't work out, his team needs a spark. And we know how good they've been with 6 attackers this year.
They've been very good, no question. Here's Pereiras. Pereiras with a shot, and that goes over the glass into the crowd. Yeah, they had 3 6th attacker goals in the last 3.5 minutes last week against Syracuse to tie it and send it into overtime. They had 3 against Baltimore earlier this year down in that game. And so, yeah, they have definitely had a lot of success with the 6th attacker. Sliwa back in goal right now. Mugin will control it and play it back to Pereiras, and Sliwa will head to the bench one more time. Monolaris will bring it up slowly now as Ricardinho picks it up in midfield to Teixeira. 2:50 to play. St. Louis by a goal. A stunner here in Lakeland, Florida tonight. Let's see if the Tropics have a rally in them. Long ball down to Monolaris. Nascimento comes out, almost a handball outside the box.
And you got to be careful there.
Teixeira to Monolaris, back to Teixeira. Ricardinho, a little trouble controlling it, being challenged by Everton there. He'll get it over to Teixeira. St. Louis, a lot of pressure up high. He did a good job keeping Florida outside the box during their power play opportunity. Here's Teixeira. Teixeira from distance. Knocked away. Monolaris tried to get it in front, and good play by Nascimento as both Mugin and Schlempler were back post.
Nascimento's been very composed here in the final minutes. What a comeback this has been by the ambush. Now the question is, can they get over the hump? Can they hold off Florida's one last run?
Here's Teixeira. Gets it back to Ricardinho. Pereiras to Ricardinho. Over to Teixeira. Again, though, St. Louis not allowing any penetration. Down low, finally now to Schlemper. Schlemper Battles in the corner. And a whistle and a foul. Acosta, there's a restart shot, and that goes wide. Comes to Teixeira, and that's blocked. It's about where Teixeira got the game winner against Baltimore. Just over a minute to go. Here's Teixeira back the other way. Over to Pereiras. Pereiras, long shot, that never got through. Still loose. Controlled by the Tropics. Schlemper on top to Teixeira's shot. That's blocked in there by De Silva. Guilherme going to try and make a play, or Ricardino rather, and couldn't do it. Tropics deep in their own zone, down to 43 seconds, still time.
Yeah, one more run here.
At least one more. Ricardino, long ball into the St. Louis zone, but nobody there for the Tropics. Dieguez trying to battle. Pereira steps up, gives it to Rico in front, a whistle and a foul. With 27 seconds to go.
And an unnecessary foul, I think.
Yeah, it kind of came after the pass.
Yeah.
So Pereiras will give it up to Ricardino here.
Oh, they're not going to bother with having a sweeper back there. There's 27 seconds left. You got to score.
Adamson, I think, a little bit shaken up on the play, so they will.
I think that's
look
Schmerman.
at him. Or is that Schmerman
yeah,
down?
Schmerman.
Okay. Well, it'll give the Tropics a chance to catch their breaths a little bit here as well. Dieguez and Teixeira and Pereiras have been out there for a while now on the sixth attacker situation.
What a massive 27.7 mentally for both of these teams.
This would truly be a stunner. So Schmerman will head to the bench.
Actually going to bring Adamson out to replace him.
Let's see where Ricardino wants to go with this. He's got Dieguez down low. Cross the court, shot, save in front. Arico with a whack at it, still loose. Schlemper with it, he can't control it. St. Louis has it. This might do it. This will do it. Hernandez with a shot and a goal, and the St. Louis Ambush are going to win this one here tonight with 5 goals in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable. The Tropics shorthanded tonight with no Mauricio Salas, no Lucas Coutinho, but they are heading for the exits with 11 seconds to play. St. Louis is going to win their second of the season. Wow.
An absolutely stunning result. Absolutely shocking.
5-2, Florida had the lead heading into this fourth quarter, and it collapsed in a hurry.
Wow.
So Florida will fall to 6-6. St. Louis, with their second win of the year, improves to 2-11. And the whistle sounds to wrap things up here at the RP Funding Center tonight. A very surprising result. And hats off to the St. Louis Ambush for their effort, especially in the fourth quarter tonight, winning it by a final score of 7-5. We'll come back and wrap things up with the Ybor Eats postgame show in just a moment. The final, once again, from Lakeland, Florida, St. Louis 7 and the Tropics 5. You're watching Soccer Night Florida on MASL.TV.
Florida Tropics. If you're not staying for the autograph session, have a good night.
When it comes to Medicare Advantage plans, here's some great news from CarePlus. With the Carefree plan, you may be able to get a $94 reduction on your Medicare Part B premium every month. That's up to $1,128 a year back in your Social Security check. Plus, no more than $3,400 in out-of-pocket expenses and $0 copays on Tier 1 and 2 prescription drugs. The annual enrollment period is here and ends December 7th, so call today. There's always a plus in CarePlus.
I love my job truly because of the people.
I'm actually looking forward to stepping into the office every single day.
I love working at Sykes because I love talking to people from around the country and just hearing their story.
I like the customer interaction.
And it helps me feel that I'm being part of something bigger than myself.
And the reason I love my job is the opportunity to make such great relationships with so many different people.
I work in a family more than at an actual call center.
Well, tough to figure. We talk all the time about what a crazy game arena soccer is, and boy, was that on display here tonight as the St. Louis Ambush score 5 unanswered goals in the fourth quarter to win their second of the season, 7-5 over the Florida Tropics. And if we thought last week's defeat at the hands of the Syracuse Silver Knight was disappointing, boy, this one certainly, I think, the toughest loss in the 2-year history of the Tropics.
Yeah, I mean, you're up 5-2. You've got the game completely under control. And, I mean, credit to St. Louis. They didn't give up. They fought. They fought as hard as they could. They got the 2 goals right away, and you kind of had a feeling that, oh, wow, because they almost did it in the third quarter, and then they sort of backed off after they got the first goal. That didn't happen in the fourth. They kept it up. And Florida, while they showed spurts, were never really able to get the game completely back within their grasp, and in the end, the Ambush off a controversial power play end up getting the lead, and then with 6 attackers even, just not much punch left from Clay Roberts' side tonight. Just an incredibly disappointing loss.
Yeah, and by the way, that blue card on J.P. Reyes was for contact above the waist, elbow. The thing that was unusual about it was we didn't see a blue card for the longest time.
It was how late it came out, right?
Right, and we did not know. We just thought it was going to be a foul, and normally when a blue card is called, especially on a play like that, if it's a trip or something, that comes out immediately. And so we were as confused as everyone, but St. Louis takes advantage and ends up taking a 7-5 win. So for the Tropics, they now fall to 6-6 on the season. They have one more game left on this homestand against Kansas City, another team on paper that doesn't look that good, but you kind of have to question where the Tropics are right now with their injuries and the fact now here at home they aren't even a 500 team this season. They fall to 3-4 here at home on Sykes Field.
Well, you got to think of it this way. You can't let this game beat you next week. This is one where you can sit here and you say, wow, we lost to a 1-11 team. What are we doing? We blew the lead. You can sit and you can sulk, or you could just put it in the past, get back to work, and go win a winnable game next week. Remember that just because you lost to a 1-11 team, that doesn't make you a 1-11 team. We've seen Florida have the potential to really contend for the playoffs. They've played very well this year. They've proved that they are a competitive team in this league. They can beat this Kansas City side, and I think it'll be really interesting next week. It'll be our last game together, I think, to see if the Florida Tropics can come out with that fire as they did tonight to really control the game in the first half, or whether or not they allow this loss to beat them again next week.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the injury situation plays out as well, with Mauricio Salas not dressing tonight with a leg injury and Lucas Coutinho not dressing tonight with a leg injury as well. We don't really know how long term those injuries might be. We'll get a better idea of that during the week, but certainly their offense missed here tonight as well. No excuse, though. The Tropics with a lot more depth than they've had in the past, and just not able to find the goals when they needed it after St. Louis rallied in the fourth quarter. So the final, once again, Florida falls to the St. Louis Ambush by a final score of 7-5. Many thanks to Ybor Eats for sponsoring our post-game show. They're at 5th and 17th in historic Ybor City in Tampa. So if you find yourself over that way and kind of looking for a nice little comfortable out-of-the-way place to eat, they've got great food. They've got great prices. The portions are tremendous. Cheesesteaks, hamburgers, great breakfast. Just stop in and relax, sit on their patio, enjoy the white picket fence, and watch life go by for a little bit at Ybor Eats. It's where the locals eat. They've been there forever, and that's as good a testimony as any. So we thank Ybor Eats for their sponsorship of our pre- and post-game shows this year on Soccer Night Florida. So a disappointing loss for the Tropics, and as Evan said, we'll see if they can recover next week. They'll be back at it a week from tomorrow. That's Saturday night, January 20th, when they take on the Kansas City Comets. Our thanks to the GTV Sports crew, as always. Mike and Gary and Brandon and the gang doing their normal great job. Many thanks to Evan Weston, and I'm Brian Ackley. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you a week from tomorrow when the Kansas City Comets are in town. Have a great night, everybody.